Okie dokie artichoke, let's get ready to paint up. Come, we get the... yeah! Hello everybody, how we all diddly doing? I hope we're all doing well. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. How is it Wednesday already? This week off has flown by like that, and I feel like I've not done anything on my list of stuff. How are we all doing? I hope we are doing well. Verity! Dropping a 67-month sub. Thank you so much. 67 months. Sub day, 1 meatball marinara, please. Oh, that sounds good. Do you know that they do the meatball marinara on jack and potatoes as well now? Woo! Scrot! Coming in with a 64-month sub. Thank you so much, my friend. How are you doing? I hope you are well. How are we all doing? Let me catch up with chat. Rusty in, having a lurky lurk at D&D. Johan sneaking in, grabbing the first, though. How are we? Shrimp, where am I? How are we doing, Shrimp? I hope you're doing good. A dad joke's got through as well. We've got lots of daily beans, a couple of highs. Epic, hello to you. How are me, my friend? I hope you are doing well, but welcome everybody. Dad jokes. I am not prepared for dad jokes because I have once again misplaced the dad joke book. I don't know how I keep losing it. I'm very confused. I'm going to have to think of some other dad jokes where I can. But how are we all doing? I hope we're doing good. I hope everyone's doing well. Happy Wednesday. What are we all getting up to on what has been, I don't know if it has been for the rest of you, a beautiful sunny Wednesday. It's been lovely weather here today. I was out in just a t-shirt earlier. Like, I had jeans on as well, but listen, I didn't have to have a jacket. It was like 21 degrees. I was like, what? It was incredibly wonderful weather. I was like, what is happening? Why is the weather so pretty? Like, so nice outside. It was a good time. It was a good time. How is everyone else doing, though? I hope we're all doing well. We are testing out doing some Custodes Gold today. I've been doing a bit of research, having a look at some other ways to do gold, because I'm trying to think of like a fun, speedy gold recipe. But there's been a few things which you rely on the airbrush and things like that. But I've seen one I want to try today. I've got my sacrificial Stormcast Eternal here, which they make perfect testers for gold. So I'm going to try this scheme out today where it involves undercoating in brown and dry brushing on the gold to kind of get that kind of aged effect. So I want to see how that goes and see how that looks and see how that might transfer across to Custodes. But yeah, I hope we're all doing good. I've put the thinner duvet on my bed today. Ooh, oh wait, I've just thought. We got a really nice, big, thick, comfy duvet as a Christmas present. And we have I don't even know if we have a thinner duvet anymore. Normally, when it gets really warm, we just use like a sheet. But now I'm like, do we need a thinner duvet? Because we do have a very thick duvet. It is extremely thick. I'm like, oh. So yeah. Hiya, doing splendid. No painting today, but I did my Batman bust in one sitting. Hells to the yes. Wait, that can either be tick off a bust or paint something, start and build and paint something without finishing anything, without starting something else in between. You can tick off things on your hobby bingo there. No doubt I'll regret it when the weather inevitably turns. Aren't they saying something like it was 21 degrees today, but they're expecting it to be like 5 degrees on Friday or something? Frogs and I went to the local Warhammer shop. Ooh. Did you pick up treats or did you just do the free mini of the month? What did you get up to? Ooh, we need to have a look at that one. Yeah, if you do exclamation mark bingo, there's a hobby bingo we do. So every project can only count towards one square, so you got to pick which square it is for it. You can't do like one, like the bust can't be like, I finished it in one sitting, so I can tick it off for bust and square. It has to be one square each. The idea being that you'll do 25 projects if you try and go for the full bingo. But it has to be stuff you've painted this year. And it can't be stuff that you did like last year, obviously the year before. We did a different hobby bingo last year, and there's some fun squares on there to have a little bit of like fun with. Some are simple, like tidy up your desk area. Some are a little bit more, kind of like heavily themed, like paint something the grimdark or synthwave style. Do a kit bash from sci-fi to fantasy or vice versa. Just a bit of fun. It's available on the website to download. Oh yes. Drink. Kelbar, how are we doing? I hope you're doing well. We're doing good. Just trying to decide what colour to do a gem on a sphinx. Whip in the Discord if you want to look. I haven't even got Discord open actually. Let me see if I can crack it open. Let's have a nosy. While that loads. I got a Deathwatch kill team and Frog's got orc books. Ooh, nice. I have to admit, I went to where did I go yesterday? Birmingham yesterday, and I popped into the Element Games, and they had, which was really, really, really nice. They had the Tomb World, a couple of copies of the Tomb World Kill Team box in, which of course comes with 2 of the kits for where's my brain going? 2 of the Deathwatch Kill Team kits, because obviously it's a kill team of 5, but you get 2 copies of it in that box, plus the terrain, plus the whatever they're facing off against. Tyranids? Can't remember. I think it's the Reavers, isn't it? What they're facing off. I can't remember whatever they're facing off against. And I was looking at the box and I was like, that is very tempting. It was very tempting. It's the first place in a while I've seen copies of that floating around. So I was like, ooh. I'm putting the finishing touches on my last 6 Rangers of the North. Nice. Wait, when you say last 6, is that it done? Like for at least for a while, or are you moving on to another project? What are you getting go cracking on with? And ooh, just looking at Calbar's Sphinx in the Discord. I'm trying to think what colour is it? The gem, the heart piece in the centre of the chest plate. Because you've got like mint green and pink, so similar to your Emperor's Children colours. I'm trying to think what would be a good colour for that. Let me switch over to the screen. Hello, I'm over here now. Let me have a look at the screen. Let's get a bit of background music on. There we go. Let's come through, and let me open this up in the old. Where are we at? Where are we at? So this is what Calbar's been working on. Oh no, wrong one. Ah, I pressed the wrong button on my stream deck. Carnage for the start stream. I'm back. This is what Calbar's been working on. I'm trying to think what would be a good colour for that. Let me have a look here. Let's have a look at the old. When in doubt, the old Adobe color wheel works really well. So you've gone for like mint green and pink, which means that you've got kind of makes me think that's like a split complementary, or are we looking triad? I'm thinking yellow, if I'm honest. Kind of looking at these color palettes. Let me. This is what I'm looking at here. So this is what's called the triad kind of thing on Adobe's color wheel. So you can see here, it's kind of you've got this kind of like kind of pinkish versus the mint green. So you're somewhere in this kind of sort of territory, which means it's kind of thinking yellow and orange, but because you've already got kind of the gold hair and the gold trim. I'm trying to think what would be a good option there. Hey, Nutman, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Because it's looking here like different colours that would kind of work. Where are we at? I'm trying to think. Let's have a look at what other options we've got here. I feel like split complementary doesn't quite work for this because you're more in this kind of like, yeah, you're looking at the triad method. So you've got kind of your mint greens and your pinks already. So it's pointing really towards either a yellow or maybe like this kind of mauvey sort of purple. Scroll out a little bit. Sorry, it doesn't quite work because it's a weirdly shaped screen. Because you've got like your mint green over here, and it's kind of you're thinking like a yellowy gold, but that's what you've done for the trim. So maybe like a dark amethyst would work quite nice because it would be complementary towards the pink that you've kind of dry brushed it with, the pinky purple you've dry brushed. So like a dark amethysty colour with maybe a little touch of ard coat on it, with a little bit of a shine, which could be kind of cool. Would leaving it white work? I feel that you could do white if you were to make it glossy, although I think it might look unfinished. I think sometimes white's tricky, isn't it? Because it can look like just empty. Maybe worth giving it a go. I'd probably say maybe apply a bit of hard coat or a gloss varnish to it just to give it a bit of something there. But otherwise, I think something around this kind of colour, if you can see it down here. Like this maybe colour here. Sorry, where's my mouse? Maybe like a dark, really dark purple. Something like if you've got contrasts like or speed paints, like maybe Purple Swarm Army Painter, or what would be the equivalent for that in contrast? Maybe like a Xerneas Purple in acrylics, or is it Magos or Shaiish? They're both quite dark. Purples might work for contrasts, and then hit it with a bit of a gloss varnish or something. Alternatively, aim down. Like, you don't have to just limit yourself to these colours. You can do whatever you like. But I'm just thinking, like, kind of, if you're looking at like a triad of colours, you've got the pink, you've got the mint green. You've already kind of hit the yellowy gold here because of the trim and the hair colour. So you're hitting that triad really well. You're hitting those three colours that kind of work well. It is just this gem. I feel like whatever colour you pick, it's going to pop quite be a focal point. Your eye is going to rest on it because it's kind of a big sort of vibe. So maybe, yeah, I think either go down the purples, because then it would almost lean into that kind of Emperor's Children original pre-Heresy colour, because obviously this is similar to your Noise Marine scheme. So, Gene Stealer Cult, Lavender Skin might work. That might work. Yeah, that might work well, because it's like kind of like that kind of not as in your face purple. Yeah, try something like that, I'd say. Give that a whirl. It could be quite nice. I think it'd be, because it would look like an amethysty gem, kind of. And in terms of lore-wise, if this is meant to fit in with your Slaaneshi kind of Emperor's Children Noise Marines, where you've got the same color palette, this would kind of fit really well, which I think would be very cool. So I think that'd be kind of cool. Maybe we catch up with chat. So I'm 2 away from scoring bingo twice, it would seem. Sci-fi to fantasy, vice versa, or paint a mounted vehicle. You got this. You can do it. Excuse me. That'll be the army finished, except the 3 alternative sculpts located in my pile of potential from the other day. Ooh, nice. Then I've got an old Barlin model to finish off, and then onto something, onto some elves, starting my army for next year. No, I'll start my next army for the year. Nice. Which elves are you doing? Hey, old gamer, how you doing? Just got in. Does the brand of paint is important if you use a color wheel? I mean, because of different pigments in other brands. I don't necessarily think so. This is just an Adobe generic color wheel. This is very much like this is just Adobe's free one that they have on their web store. So on the web store, on the website, this is free to look at. I think if you're looking at other kind of like, if you're trying to get that color and kind of match it really well, then I think the brand of paint doesn't necessarily matter, in my opinion, because it's the you're going specifically for the color. I mean, as someone behind me, I've got, just on the shelf behind me, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 actually is the 10th in the corner. 10 different brands of paint. I feel like you should be fine to kind of mix and match, as long as like the color, because sometimes it might be that brand doesn't have the color you need. Which could be an interesting one. You might not have that colour that you're after. So, yeah, I'm trying to think what else. But no, I think there is an app called, if I can find it, I think I've still got it on my phone. I think the app Brush Rage, which is available on phone, both iOS and Android. They have a colour wheel. I think they had a colour wheel for where you could pick which paints you use, or which paints are in your collection. Try to see if I can find it on the app here. I don't know if they have a website version of it, actually. That would be a good shout. I think they have maybe they have a colour wheel, or they used to have a colour wheel, I'm not sure. Where are we at? Yeah, I can't seem to find it on there. But personally, no, I don't think the paint brand massively matters that much. I think if you're, as long as you're, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I mix and match my colours all the time. I mean, trying to what we got floating around here. I mean, this guy here, this Skaven is, the oranges are from Two Thin Coats. The metallic is from Citadel. The contrast is Citadel. The rust effect is Vallejo rust and Dirty Down rust. Like, I mix and match my paint brands all the time. There's some Lothorian elves for a Helm's Deep army. The other army I'll be starting is the War of the Rohirrim Helm's Deep, and use the same resin basis. So I want the elves done first to avoid confusion. Ooh, nice. Oh, you were saying about your Helm's Deep army, which sounds really cool. Sphinxes are planned to be used as Chaos Spawns for the Emperor's Children army. Ooh, so that will work. That will fit really well then. I like the idea of that. Do I have a favourite brand? Do I have a favourite brand of paints? I would say my most used set of paints is probably the Duncan Rhodes Too Thin Coats, which is most of what you see with the white tops behind me. And I think that's just because I've backed the 3 waves that have been on Kickstarter, so I've been using them quite a lot. They have pretty good coverage. There's quite a nice selection of colours there, and because I backed the whole wave, I've got quite a big selection of them, so I probably use that quite a lot. In terms of favourite, though, I think that's probably is my more favoured because I use it the most, but I don't think I necessarily have a favourite. I think each brand normally tends to bring a very different thing to the table. So, like, for example, we've just been working on this guy here. We've just finished him off. So all of the metallics on this one are done using Vallejo's new coloured true metallic metals, which I think are fantastic, and I haven't found anybody who does any of them better. The skin tones is using colours from Citadel, and the wings are using the Too Thin Coats, because I think they're great for blending. So I think they all have their own kind of, like, purposes. Like, I know some people swear by a scale 75 colours, especially for their metallics, whereas I know others who go for P3's metallics are their favourite metallics. I think for me, yeah, mostly though, if I had to pick one of the brands behind me that I was to use solely going forward, I'd probably stick with the Too Thin Coats, just because they have the biggest kind of range, I think, outside of kind of Citadel. I think they've got a really nice kind of like eclectic mix. I can probably find, and I like the triad method of painting, where you have like a shadow, a mid-tone, and a highlight, and that kind of gives you the 3 areas you need. Kind of like that style. What about everyone else? What's anyone else have a favourite style of painting or a favourite colour palette? But yeah. I realised, well, we never did the dad jokes for you, Scrot. So, dad jokes we've got here are... the other day, I spotted an albino Dalmatian. It was the least I could do for him. The other day, it was my first day in the hospital, so a woman in labour shouted, "Shouldn't, wouldn't, couldn't, didn't, can't." Don't worry, I was reassured by the doctor, that's just the contractions. Where are we at? The police were searching. The police were searching for me after I was stealing air mattresses from the beach. I had to lie low. What else have we got here? The other day I ordered 9 root beers, but they gave me 3 instead. Maths puns. Maths puns. What is the deadliest fish in the entire ocean? Jack the Kipper, of course. And another animal fact. Which bird can carry the most weight? The crane. There you go. Enjoy your bad puns. I hope you have enjoyed. Ooh, I meant to say, actually, I picked up the other day... I picked up a new gadget. I'm going to grab it because I wanted to test it on stream. Give me a sec. Here, brother. There you go. Bubby, out of the way. He's still got the other one. Yeah, I picked up a new thing yesterday at Element Games. Because when they announced it, we were interested by it, and it was this. The Warhammer Colour painting handle. So this cost me £3.20. And what I wanted to try on this one is when they announced this, a lot of people were very immediately concerned on this one, that this would be fragile. So I thought, let's find out, shall we? Let's get it, open it, and find out. Now, I mostly use my red grass paint handle when it comes to paint handles. As you guys know, I love these. I love the fact that it can spin, but I also know it's not the most comfortable to hold. So it's kind of, you know, hit and miss. Let's have a look here. Catching up with chat while I open this up. Ooh. What's this? But when it inevitably goes wrong, I'll pivot to making a burnt Rohan houses for my Rohan versus Hill Tribesman armies. Hey, it'll be fine. Your Helm's board's gonna look awesome. Epic is, I prefer Scale 75 for preference, but Citadel and ease of purchase. That's fair. Hey, Solo Tear. I like Army Painter, but I do like Vallejo's True Metallic Metal. Fair. I have a lot of Army Painters, but I struggle with them when they dry so quick. An interesting thing I would say for the Army Painters would be if you're using water as your medium to thin them down. Try using a medium instead. So instead of using water to thin your paints, or try using a wet palette. I'm not sure if you have a wet palette. I swear by them. I think they're fantastic because I can take a while. I'm not the fastest painter, so I tend to wet palettes will keep my paints wet on the palette. But I tend to use like a spirit medium or something because the medium acts as both a flow improver and a paint retarder. So it has a bit of a mix because a flow improver normally has a paint retardant in it, which means that it stops the paint from drying. Now, too much means that your paint takes forever to dry, but just a little bit instead of water can sometimes help with that. That's what I tend to use when I did the blends on my guy over here. So rather than use water to thin the paints, I used a medium. I'm not sure if that helps at all, Old Gamer. There's loads of different versions of it. You've got, there's a two thin coats one. I've got, where are we? There's a Lamium medium, is the one from Citadel. I don't know what Army Painter's one's called. I think it's just called medium. I think it's quite a simple one. There's loads of different versions of it you can get, but they're all basically the same thing. The difference is if you use a thinner dries the paint quicker because it's designed to basically thin down the pigments for it, but then that can cause the paint to dry quicker. Whereas a flow improver normally is a paint retardant or retarder because it basically causes the paint to dry slower. I mean, to be fair, I've even got a big bottle of just paint retarder I got from Hobbycraft, and sometimes I mix that myself, which is quite nice. Fun fact, the name of the Cerberus three-headed dog that guards the doors of Healys originates from the Proto-Indo-European word Kerberos, which means spotted. So Cerberus is literally called Spot the Dog. I love that. I love it. Oh. I use them quite a lot for the airbrush and paint, and I think and I thin them quite a bit. Yeah, if you're using Army Painter stuff. Especially, I feel like, what do you call it? The Army Painter stuff, because they've got two versions. You've got oops, alright, I dropped stuff. Come here, you. I feel like because you have the older Army Painter War Paints and then the new War Paints Fanatic, and I do find these Fanatic ones do require a little bit more thinning than you expect, whereas the old Army Painter War Paints I didn't think were that much of a thinner, that required as much thinning. I think these are definitely more heavily pigmented, and you can almost see the difference there in the top for it. So they do require a bit more thinning, I find. I think they're good paints. They're just not for me, and that's that's me not saying that they're bad. That's me just simply saying that I think they're a little bit they're not how I paint. That's just kind of how it works. I was not allowed to write that in the chat. I think the Autobot picked it up as, wait a minute, is that being offensive? And it's like, nah, we're all good. but yeah, back to the painting handle. When they announced this as like kind of a beginner's painting handle, a lot of people were very critical of it. They thought very much so that this is going to be incredibly brittle and snap. So I thought I would try... Do I have the other version of the Army Painter paint handle here? Because I've got all three versions they've had. Sorry, the Citadel Army paint handle. Where is my other one gone? Where is the other paint handle? I had all 3 versions. I just don't know where the other one's gone. Okay, I can't find it, so it's probably around here somewhere. But effectively, the original version of the Citadel paint handle was this kind of spring-loaded. You can kind of pop that in. It holds it well, but it's a little tricky to get in. The next iteration was this exact same handle style, but with this topper. So it had like it was a thinner style of handle, but it had the spring-loaded top. And then this one doesn't have the spring-loaded top and just has this very, very sturdy kind of acrylic. That is like, I'm putting a lot of pressure on that. And that is not breaking. Like that's surprisingly stiff. That is surprisingly stiff. It also has a slot there for the if you were to buy their oh, it's hollow. I didn't even realise that was hollow. Is that meant to be hollow? Hello. I didn't realise that was hollow. Huh. The previous ones normally had a... I mean, it's meant to be a budget handle for people getting into the hobby. So, of course, they've now rebranded it as Warhammer colour. And it has the hole to, if you're using their sub-assembly kit. That holds something from the sub-assembly kit on there. Which is... Let me show you guys what that looks like. You guys haven't seen it on the web store. Middle Earth. Build and paint. Accessories. Where's the sub-assembly kit gone? So this is the sub-assembly kit. So you effectively get a load of these. And that will hold, instead of having this extension, which would fit on the top of these, the other style paint handle, which is this style. Which is £8. So this is half the price because it doesn't have the mechanical part of it. You would just slot that in there. So you still get pretty much the same functionality just for half the price. And this is probably why it's hollow for it. The weirdest part of this I would find is that this, like, look at how little flex that has. That's me putting so much pressure on that. And that is not snapping. Whereas this part, that's got a... Because it's hollow, that's got quite a bit of flex to it. Like, I reckon if you were really concentrating and not really focusing on, like, holding, I feel like that could potentially crack. But this top part is not going anywhere. That is sturdy. Like, you can see the pressure I'm putting on that. That just dented my finger. That is pretty sturdy. I wanted to see how this slots in. So... Okay. That's pretty straightforward. So, if you drop it, will I land on the model or base first? Let's find out. Hold on, I was going to do this off stream. It weirdly landed sideways. Let me try again. I think that is completely balanced because when I dropped it from that direction, it landed like that. When I dropped it sideways, it landed sideways. And when I dropped it that way, it landed on the model. So I think this is very balanced. Interestingly. So, off work while I change my meds, doing jobs around the house. Third tooth extraction tomorrow. Might wash the Oryx later. Fair play, Solitaire. Well, I hope having the time off work is going well, and fingers crossed tomorrow's tooth extraction goes well for you. I prefer the older ones. I also think every time they redesign it, they make it look more like a... What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. So... But yeah, the old handles were quite nice because you used to be able to buy these in a pack of 5 and it would basically be like for the price of 4, which was quite cool. This one is definitely interesting as a paint handle. My only critique is I think this will scratch the... Yeah, look at that. That has scratched the rim. because it is just force in there. The only thing holding it is not a spring. It is very much it being forced in there. It's quite stiff. My theory for this was, can I operate it one-handed? From a... Hey, Super Weasel, how you doing? No, I'm struggling to put a mini in here single-handed. Let me try a smaller mini on a 32mm base. Because my critique of the previous handle was that you can't really operate them one-handed, and I thought maybe this was an accessibility choice. To have it kind of like, could you one-handed this? No, that's not going in. Yep. Question: do you two-step wash your resin? IPA for both steps. In terms of me, I tend to do. I don't know. I'm curious to know what you mean by 2 steps. So my stuff tends to go in the cleaner, fresh out the when it comes off the printer. So it goes in the cleaner there. It then dries and exposes off. And then I tend to put it in as what do you call it? Where's my brain gone? Then I use warm water to pull it off the supports, and then if I feel it needs another blast of resin, I will do. But most of the time, 1 step's normally enough. But mine tends to go in the cleaner for quite a while. I try and make sure it gets a really good clean. So, yeah, but you paint the model before you rim it. That's kind of what I'm thinking, yeah. I feel like it's not going to be that much of a problem. I am unsure about this paint handle. Like, I think I can understand why they've done it, because it's a cheap paint handle. It's an entry-level paint handle. But I'm not. I'm trying to. This is £4. The newer version of this with the spring-loaded action is £8. So I can operate the old one single-handed. I think that's kind of it. I wasn't sure if this was originally, because there were people who were saying that this was harder to operate single-handed. Like, so there was complaints that the new one was harder to operate single-handed because you had to be like. Whereas I think that is easier than that. Whereas I thought this might be easier, but because of how stiff that is, which is you want that stiff, you don't want this fragile. Like, I'm putting a lot of pressure on this. Ooh, hold on. Ooh, we got a bend? Oh no, it's just the light. Like, I'm putting an awful lot of pressure on that, and that's not really giving me any give. I think that's going to be pretty sturdy. For £4, I can understand it being pretty useful. Although, I suppose my other part of it would be, is it worth it to buy this one over the currently existing colour painting handle? I don't know. But I just don't think this is aimed at me. I think this is aimed at people who are kind of like, I'm unsure if a painting handle will work for me. I've seen ones for as high as like £20 that are handcrafted, and I've seen ones which are, really cheap. I mean, I think this is a little bit more comfortable than if you were to just blue tack your model to the top of like a paint pot. So, like, if you were to just grab like a... I think it's definitely more comfortable than that. If you were to just go... And it's definitely more secure. Anything with blue tack is never that secure, as you can tell. Whereas, I think this has a good purpose here in terms of the fact that it's not... it's a cheap paint handle. It kind of is exactly what it says on the tin. It goes down as far as... What size bases does this use? 25mm to 40mm bases. And it has the accessory slot for the individual bits. Yeah. I think I'm more impressed that this really does survive the snap test. Now, I feel like if I was to really I reckon I could get it to snap if I was to really hard push on that. But I feel like that would be me intentionally. I'm going to snap this. I think it's just from daily use. I don't think this is going to do. Like, even that, that's pretty sturdy. I think eventually, if you kept forcing it, it would probably snap. But again, you can see it's got an extra structural reinforcement here. So, I feel like it would be. I feel like this. What's the trying way to describe this? I think in normal use, this will not snap. During normal usage, this will not snap. I feel dropping it from a great height onto concrete floor, so say if you were using this to hold the mini you were priming, so let's say I was holding this mini and I went outside to prime it on this, and I dropped it from kind of this height onto concrete, maybe. But I think not much is going to survive that anyway. Except for these old chunky ones. Because they've got metal reinforcements inside to help with the... But I think daily use, I cannot imagine this is going to snap. I cannot imagine. I feel like, again, I reckon right now, if I went, okay, we're going to snap this to test how much of a strength it has, I think I could snap it. But that is not the use case for that. People aren't buying this to intentionally try and snap it, right? They're using it for daily use. I think this is probably a good thing to give maybe... what's the way to describe this? Maybe like my first painting handle sort of style. I feel like you giving this to a kid. Or like, say, somebody starting off their painting journey, like... I don't think there would be a problem with this. This is probably more aimed at the people who go into a Games Workshop for the first time, don't really want to drop that much money on a painting handle, but they've done the free painted tester mini in the store, and they've gone, oh, I quite like this handle. They go, yeah, sure, they're only £4 if you want to pick one up. That's a nice, easy purchase. It's a harder sell to turn around and go, well, this is £8, the new version of this. This is an £8. That's a bit more of a, I'm only getting into this. £8 is a lot of money. This is a much more budget affordable option, and I think it's good that they're catering to those people who are on a bit more of a budget. The fact that I picked this up from Element Games for £3.20 just kind of shows that these are cheaper. Being completely like honest about it, my only critique with it is it's this bit here is, I feel like it's a bit sharper than it should be. Like I think if I ran my thumb across this now, I would get like a paper cut. I think this needs to be slightly filed down a bit more. That would be my only critique. Like, I don't know if you guys can hear. That's me rubbing it across my palm. I do think this is ever so slightly too sharp. I think that is like... I don't think, like, I feel, again, if you went to drop it and you went to grab it and you went, whoa, like that, and you grabbed it and your thumb went across there, I reckon you'd get yourself like a little paper cut. Like, it wouldn't bleed, but it'd be like a surface cut, which I don't think is that would be my main critique with it. But otherwise, it's light, it's comfortable to hold, it holds your mini. Oh yeah, I slapped that on the desk, that wasn't it, fell off. Where did it go? That was me accidentally slamming it on the desk. So, but I think it's going to suffer from like... Oh, wait, did that fall off too quick? Did I not put that in properly? Oh no, I put it in the wrong slot. That's pretty. Okay, let's give it that a good shake. They ain't coming off anytime soon. They ain't coming off anytime soon. You're pretty good on that one. It's pretty simple and effective to use. It comes off with a bit of a thumb push. Yeah, basically, yeah. It's a good entry-level product for somebody who's unsure if a paint handle works for them, but probably wants to upgrade from the stereotypical using a paint pot with a blue tack. So... yeah, you can't even get the original handle. Oh, yeah, I have this version in this style. I just don't know where it is. That's why I couldn't grab it. I was using this one as my example. But I think, like, if you're looking at it from a price point, like, this is £4. This is aimed at people getting into, do I want to use a paint handle for the first time? Whereas when you start going up the market in, where are we at? If you start going up market into all the different different options for, like for example, like this here is £4. The newer version is £8. My red grass one is £12. Like, and I think that's kind of it. Like, if you're getting into the hobby for the first time, your no-brainer is to pick this up. And I would probably say, yeah, grab it. It's great. It covers the sub-assembly side of it. It's, you know, you're paying for what you get for. You can start going up to, like, then that would be the natural progression of someone who wants that kind of further grip. They like that mechanical style. If they're not fussed on the mechanical style, I'd recommend the red grass one. But then you start going up and up and up down to the point of, like, you've got the golden maple and the wrathcore ones that are £20 plus. There are ones that are much more expensive. This is not aimed at people who like those paint handles. This is not designed for people to replace their red grass paint handles with it. This is meant to be a quick, easy, cheap purchase. I need a paint handle. This one's £4. Nice and easy. It's made from fairly sturdy stuff. You saw then it's got pretty good utility and usage. I imagine after time, every now and again, this might just need a bit of a to reset. I think eventually, if you were to use this, like, say if you were going to paint a 2,000 point army of pretty much just infantry, and you used one paint handle going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out with this, for example, like, I think by the end of doing that, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a little loose. But, like, nothing unfixable. I think it would just be a quick of a push that back up and it would resell. But it's fairly sturdy. Well, it's alright. It's pretty good. I'm glad I got one to test it, and I'm glad it, like, you know, for that side of it. Yeah, like I said, my positives are it's cheap, it's comfortable to hold, it will hold your minis fairly well, and it's got a slot for the sub-assemblies. I think it's great. He's early. Also, a great early entry point to people using paint handles. I think the only negatives I have about it are, I think this is slightly sharp, and I think this should be thinned down a little bit, because I feel like if I went like that across, if I went fast across that now, I think I would get a surface cut on it. So, and then I would probably say I'm slightly concerned about the hollowness, just because I think if you were really gripping that, and I mean, like, you can see how much pressure I'm putting on that, I think that could potentially crack. But again, it's £4, you know, sort of thing. Like, it's not a £3.20 I picked out from Element Games yesterday. It's one of those, like, I think if you were concentrating and holding your mini, for you to hold this to a point where I think it would break, you would not be holding this. Like I said, you would not be. If I was putting enough pressure on this to get that bend, my hand would be shaking. If I am holding this with a bit of concentration, I don't think this is going to snap. I think if you use it as intended and are slightly rougher than normal, you're going to be fine. I think if you pick this up and your intention is to push it to the limit and snap it and push like that, you would probably achieve what you want. But then what would be the point in buying this? Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I think it does the job. I think it's I'd give this a thumbs up. I feel like, yeah, it's cheap. It's nice, easy to pick up. They're going to be readily available, and I don't think, yeah, I think it's fine. It is exactly what you want for the price point you get. It is, like I said, it is when people are going from, it is aimed at people going from this to maybe blue tack on top of a mini or a paint pot to their first handle, and that's going to be fine. It is not here to compete with things like this. That's not what this is for, and this does its job very well. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Super's last does the top come off? No, that's fixed. It's a fixed solid piece. It holds 25 mil to 40 mils, and also has a slot for the sub-assembly thing. So it's actually, I think, rather than it being the whole topper, that slot fits one of those in. Rather than using that topper on the other paint, it will just fit that little nib in. Will go in the this hole. There you go. There we go. But yeah, I don't think there's any nervousness here about this being broken. Like, unless you are, like I said, there's being rough with it, and then there is being like, I am going to push this to the max to snap it. I don't think in any natural way, or if you're dropping it, like, that bounced. I just yeeted that on the floor. It bounced, rebounded, hit the door, and came back to me. Like, I didn't even have to get up. That's fine. Sorry for making a loud bang there. Like, that's fine. And that's me intentionally throwing it on the floor with quite a bit of force. Enough to that it hit the carpet on the ends, bounced, that end slammed into the door, and it bounced back off the floor and back over to me. Like, this is sturdier than I think we think. A lot of people, and we said about ourselves when they announced it, we thought that this might snap. So yeah. But it's pretty cool. Sorry, Verity. Milkshake really appreciated you throwing it at the door. I mean, I threw it at the floor. I didn't mean to bounce off the door. Sorry. Sorry. Hey, Senjiro. How are you doing, though? I hope you're doing well. Welcome. The Maracas Marines. Yeah. Yeah, price point is pretty good. Maggots, how are we doing, my friend? Welcome on in. Shamefully, just use my grubby hands sometimes. I didn't ask if you paid for it because I was unaware how cheap it was. There was some discussion about the handle when it was announced. Yes, that's why I picked it up. So that was the price point at Element Games. So it was £4 RRP, and I picked it up for 20% off. So £3.20. You owe Milkshake a bag of treats. I'll give him lots of fusses and treats, I promise. Sorry, little guy. Was he outside the door when it bounced? I'm sorry. Yeah, I feel like this is worth it for its price point. I definitely think it is worth it for its price point. Like I said, I think it's sturdy. I would be, I'm intrigued to... Yeah, I cannot find anything to negatively complain about this with beyond my slight concerns of this edge is a little sharp, and I think if you were to, like... Let's say, I think the only time this would break would be... Like, if you're clumsy like me, and for example, and say I knocked it on the floor and rolled my chair back, not knowing where it was, and I crushed it with the chair. That is the full weight of a human plus a chair crushing it. Like, this is not fragile. Is it as sturdy as the other version of it? No, because the other version has a bottom to it and has metal reinforced on the pull bit. You're fine. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm more nervous that I have already seen, since this was out, 3 separate content creators talking about, don't buy this, it's super fragile, look how easy I've snapped it. And I was more curious to pick one up myself, to be like, what is it actually? If you're using this as intended, as a paint handle, this is not going to break. But is it possible to break it with a lot of force? Yes. But, like, again... Like, I reckon I could put more force than I'm putting on there, and I would snap it. But, like, that's how much force I'm putting on it. I've dented my finger. Like, could I snap it? Yes. Will I? No. It's kind of one of them, isn't it? It's like a, it's fairly grippy. Like, if I was to put this 32mm guy in here, let's pop that on. That's a 32mm in. That's pretty sturdy. Whoa, there we go. It came off. How much that shaking that took for that to bounce off. Let me put that in the other one. The same one. This is the old style one. That also came off. Again, you're not losing. It's plenty grippy for painting. Like, you're gonna be fine. Yeah. I guess I wanted to kind of sort of be like, I've already seen people basically like slagging it off and saying it's really bad and don't buy it, it's useless. Buy a Wrathcore or a Golden Maple or a Redgrass one instead. Don't get me wrong, I love my Redgrass one, but the people buying this are not the people this is aimed at. It's very different. So yeah, I feel this is pretty good. So it's all right. Like I said, it's a bargain price. £4. You cannot go wrong. So there you go. That's my product review for today. Unintentional product review. I think the 40mm grip point would be less secure. No, not really, actually. Let's try it. I put a model on it before. It's pretty good. Because it's just... I don't know if we can get it on. That's actually pretty good, actually. There you go. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty right. I would say I would be interested to see, like, if I was really aggressively dry brushing this, how would it work? There you go. That's like really, I was pushing a lot of force onto that. But that's not any different to this paint handle. If I was like really pushing that, that would probably, that stays a bit better, but nah. It's no different to any paint handle. I think people are being unnecessarily harsh about it because, as usual, it's GW. People like to hate on GW, but this is a great entry-level product for an absolute bargain price. And I think it's very easy to turn around and say to somebody, would you like a paint handle for that for £4? And I think that's about right. Like, you know, it's kind of one of those. It doesn't need to be more than it is. It's great. Yeah, good price if you're batch painting. Exactly that. I've snapped brushes dry brushing. Yeah, I feel like dry brushing is an aggressive thing. You know, so... Yeah, I give it a thumb up. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's like 2 thumbs up, the best thing ever. I think it's a thumb up for... Great for new people having a play with it. And great if you need a painting handle in a pinch. Say if I've got, you know, a squad of 10 Marines and I want them all handled up because I want to batch paint them. Yeah, I'd probably pick up... If they did this as a multi-pack, at £4... So when they used to sell this one in a multi-pack at Christmas for five of them, but they were for the price of 4. If they did the same with this, like, you ought to 4, 8, to £16. If they did, say, like, £15 or something for, like, 5 of these or something, or whatever it would be, or whatever, I would be probably quite tempted to pick up a box, just to be like, oh, cool, sweet, I've got a load of paint handles now, right? Because I'm going to batch paint a load of Space Marines, or a load of Stormcast, or a load of Eldar, and I want to basically have them all lined up on their bases ready. If you're a batch painter, great. There you go. It's a good shout, it's a good shout. Yeah, it's a good price if you need a bunch of... I 100% agree. Magus says, like, no good for me. Oh. For context, if you walked into GW and bought that handle and 2 paints, you'd spend more on paint. Exactly that. Like, paint is what? How much? I haven't bought a paint from GW in a while. Paint. Contrast is $4.75. Non-contrast paints are... just a layer paint. Layer paints are $2.75 unless you're buying a metallic. Metallics are £3.70. So yeah, metallics are more expensive. Wait, Retributor armor is £3.70, but Balthasar gold is $2.75. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. As if they changed GW, the second pleasant surprise from GW in as many weeks. I feel this is the thing. I think they're genuinely not... Like, they get a lot of hate, and I don't quite get why. I feel like sometimes it's one of those, they are the big dogs, and so people want to kind of take them down, and it's cool to hate on them. And I think, whilst they don't make every decision correctly, not every company can, you know, some things they have, but I think one of the fundamental problems, and I think it's one of the things that I've always said on here, is like negativity feeds the algorithm well. Turn around and put up a video saying Games Workshop is the worst company in the world. It will do 1 billion times better than a video that says Games Workshop, best company and best miniatures company in the world. You know, kind of like, we saw it with Midwinter Minis example, Warhammer is the best it's ever been versus Warhammer is the worst it's ever been, and the worst it's ever been video 4x'd it. They went up at the same time, they're the same length, they have very similar content just from the two different perspectives. The negative one did 4 times better in viewership, comments, interactions. The algorithm fed it. Sometimes that's why you see so many negativities, and that's why that's what our whole channel's about here. It's about keep it positive. If you can't keep it positive, keep it constructive. I thought that was a very constructive review of this. If I can't keep it constructive, keep it to myself. I'm not here to, the hobby. A lot of us have very little precious hobby time, and why spend it being negative? And I always say the same thing. I will chat to you all day long if you're talking about something you love. If you're just going to sit here and talk about something you hate, I'm fine. I'm good. Speaking of things I love, I've recently discovered Milkies. Milkis. Which is a really fun drink. If you guys have ever seen these in like your Asian supermarket, give it a whirl. It sounds a bit odd. It's a refreshing milk and yogurt flavored drink that comes in different colours. Different flavours. Different flavours. We've tried a melon one, a grape one. This is the original one. And this is going to sound weird. It is a fizzy milk and yogurt drink, which sounds very odd, but it is very tasty. I would say give it a whirl. I still have one of those old ones. It's pleasantly over-engineered. Very much so. It definitely has a lot going for it, doesn't it? There we go. Let's crack that open. Yeah, it's like a weird fizzy milky drink. But it's a good time. I really like it. And it's like a probiotic. So it's got loads of good stuff in it, right? Yeah, people love to hate. Always the way, isn't it? I've had 9 hours of negative at work on a daily basis. Exactly. I want my hobby to be positive, right? Path to negativity. Hate is the cheap person's dopamine. Ooh, I like that. That kind of makes me feel like the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to the dark side. Oh, yeah. Oh yes, since we're talking about opinions, what are people's thoughts on the new Vanguard vets? Personally, not a fan. I think they look too much like the regular Jumpy Boys. I feel that... Alright, so here's my opinion on them. I think they're exactly what I was expecting, but they debuted the wrong model. I think the problem is, with this model, is this is actually a really nice looking model that would be either a good Assault Intercessor Sergeant, because it has some extra bits. I think they should have debuted it with either a Thunder Hammer and Storm Shield or Combat Shield or paired Lightning Claws. I think there is nothing wrong with this kit, and I think it has extra stuff to market as a Vanguard vet. It's got laurels, it's got extra detailed shoulder pads and things like that. I think, unfortunately, the decision to do the Power Sword and Plasma Pistol was the wrong move. I think this would be getting a lot less negativity if they showed off some of the cool other weapon options that Vanguard vets have. And that's the common thing I've seen across most people talking about this. Everyone's saying the same thing. It just looks like a normal Jumpy Boy. And I think this version does look like a standard Assault Intercessor Sergeant, and it doesn't look like any... I couldn't build this out of the current Intercessor kit. But I think that is an unfortunate choice of the model they chose to debut, not a reflection on the kit itself. That's what I'm thinking for that one. That's what I think. But I think that's my takeaway from this. I think great model, great kit. But I do agree that this does look like an Assault Intercessor Sergeant. I wish I'd have seen the other weapon options on it. I think that would quell everybody moaning about it. I genuinely think that. A lot of critique this model has had is people saying that, I could build this out of the Intercessor kit. And I'm like, mostly you could, but that's like saying I could kit bash anything out of all of my other parts, right? So, it's because they have the new, they have relic weapons or heirloom weapons or whatever they're called. I think it would have been good to have seen a variety of the other weapons. Bring back the paired Lightning Claws. Bring back the Thunder Hammer Combat Shield combo. I genuinely think this would have been much, much differently received. But otherwise, I think it's a great looking kit. I mean, realistically, the difference between a Vanguard Veteran's old kit and the old Assault Marines kit is the weapon options. And that was the difference between them, right? You look at an old jump pack, jump marine, assault marine kit, or a Vanguard veteran kit. The most common thing everybody did was buy an assault. So they would buy an assault marine kit and a Vanguard veteran kit and build 10 Vanguard vets. That was what everybody did. You buy 2 boxes of 5 and you make 10 because they were that interchangeable. There is no difference in this, and I think people are being a bit harsh on the fact that that was one of the best things to be able to do, was to buy 2 5-man kits and build 10 models because they were so interchangeable. They've kept that functionality. Now, they very easily could have not and forced you to buy 2 boxes of the more expensive kit, but they didn't. And I think that's something, again, people are overlooking. Where are we at? Good models, however, very similar to already available. That's the thing. I think they are very similar, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I agree, yeah, the lightning calls would have nailed it. If they'd have given it something, given it some of the other weapons, fully agree. Hey, Marco, how you doing? Welcome on in. I've never been that excited of a Vanguard Veterans unit. None of the iterations over the years have felt special to me. I think that's kind of it, isn't it? It always looks very... Are the current Vanguard vets still available? Let's have a look. Vanguard. Oops. Vanguard Veteran Squad. So, all of this kit is the old Assault Intercessor Squad with more embellishments and different weapon options. But that's the thing. They have done it looks to me like they're doing the exact same thing. They're going to be doing the exact same thing with the new kit. They're making the Assault Intercessor Squad, but with more weapon options and more details. Same logic, right? The problem is the current Vanguard Vets datasheet doesn't have options. I spent a lot of time painting up my firstborn Vanguard Veterans, just my weapon option choices to be made irrelevant. Are they made irrelevant? I don't understand what and quite get what the new Vanguard Vets sheet is. I don't have access to the codex. Vanguard Veterans datasheet. They have an heirloom weapon. Oh, okay. So they have a weapon now called an heirloom weapon, which has 4 attacks, weapon skill 3, strength 5, AP -1. Okay, so they kind of like did change it up. But I suppose, yeah, it's kind of what happens during time, I guess. Maybe maybe that's something they're looking to change. Let's hope. I mean, I think that unfortunately naturally happens with, I mean, when did this kit get released? Vanguard Veteran release date. Let's have a look. The Vanguard Veteran original release date was... Let me have a look here. 6th edition? 2012. So what, 14 years old, this kit. So it survived 14 years. 14 years, and then now is getting an upgrade. It's fair. It's kind of it. I think, like I said, I think it's one of those. I don't think it's a bad kit, the new one. I don't think it's bad. I think maybe it would have been good to see it with the other weapon options. But if you look a little closer, it's got the little trinkets. It's got a more detailed shoulder pad. It has the Crux Terminatus on there. It has, and it kind of looks pretty nice. I think, like, again, look at what the old kit was. The old kit was the assault marines with extras. This is going to be the same. That's my takeaway on it anyway. I've got a giant marine army, but I have 0 veterans in power armor. I think I'm up to 15 terminators on the other hand. Nice. I feel for me like because I had blood angels, I had Death Company Marines. Death Company Marines, which could be jump Marines as well. And so I like the fact that the backpacks and the accessories with those were very detailed, Blood Angel-y. If they do the same thing with this, I'll be happy. I'm very happy that we're getting Primaris Magor veterans. I just want them to have the options. I guess we'll have to wait and see. We're going to wait till June. So we'll have to wait and see now, I guess. I think they are going to bring back the options, you know. I have a funny feeling they're going to bring back the weapon options. Or they're going to hard commit and go, these all have relic or heirloom weapons, whatever they're called. And that way you can style the weapons however you want. I suppose that's one upside, isn't it? From simplicity's sake, this kit, you know, if you wanted to have, in terms of the plastic they're producing, if you wanted a kit which had 5 Thunder Hammers and Combat Shields, or Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields, 10 Lightning Claws would go unused on the sprue, or vice versa. I'm wondering if by them renaming them heirloom weapons, as they call them, or relic weapons, yes, you lose a little bit of like personalization for the squad, but actually you could style them so you could have like your you could give them really cool like scimitar weapons from the upgrade kits. You give them power mauls, you could give them spears, and that would be like Salamander's Iron Hands and like White Scars. You could give them that little bit of a personality, I suppose, but yet they'd all still have the same effects. I don't know. As somebody who never really ran them, I guess this doesn't really impact me that much, but I can get the frustration there that you had a kit for a long time and then they've slightly changed how it works. I can understand that. Overall, though, I think they are looking very good. I think they're getting, people are being a bit mean to it, but I'm quite happy with it. It'd be interesting how they tackle this. They have said that the existing codexes will still be valid in the new edition. I imagine then they're probably going to stay either as... They're probably going to stay as the current datasheet, or Space Marines will be one of the newer codexes that get updated. So... Maybe? Maybe? I don't know. Just have to wait and see. That's true. Yeah, I don't want it to come off of me being overly negative. I just was hoping they'd kept the boxy backpacks. Yeah, I felt like that was never going to happen, sadly. But I'm with you. I've got a soft spot for the old boxy jetpacks, right? I've got so many of them under here. I'll show you. I've got so many in this box. I'm with you. I'm a big fan of the old boxy backpacks. Look at all these. I've got so many of them. There's something super nostalgic, right, about this classic boxy backpack, yeah? That's a good time. It's just the top vent, isn't it? They've swapped out the top vent slightly. To be fair, actually... I don't think these look too different. Like, this bit's got like an additional rounded engine part, right? But the vent is kind of similar. They're not that different. Like, they're actually... I thought they were a lot more different, you know? I'm kind of looking at this now going, these aren't as different as I thought. Like... Like, that's not too different, right? Really, it's got the extended bit of the engine, but it's still round. And as we look from the front, it's a little squarer, and it looks like they've done what actually kind of needed to be done, which was, if you look at this kit, the engine, the heat output now doesn't blast into the ears of whichever Space Marine's there. It's slightly raised up. They're actually not that different. You know what? I didn't realise these were as similar as we thought. Yeah, it's not as different. I do agree though. Like, there's something about this boxy jetpack is kind of very, very, very cool. But okay, I genuinely thought they were these were much more boxy, but they're not. Ah, there we go. We learned something new. Hold on, let me just put this back before I forget. I will 100% forget, and then I'll open up Chrome and be like, what happened? Do the assault intercessors have the same jump height? Yes. Yes, I believe they do. Let me check, though, because I've been wrong. Assaulty intercessors, where are you at? Are they out of stock currently? Oh, I'm trying to find them. So, intercessors. Oh, yeah, same backpack. Yeah, same style backpack. Okay. They're not as different, I suppose. Yeah, they look very similar. They've still got the flaps, and they've still got the little ankle engine, just giving them more stability to cope for how much bigger they are. Yeah, I feel like side by side, these aren't actually as different. Ah. There you go, you learn something new every day. And it doesn't have the tilt plate. So this guy doesn't have a tilt plate on him. Okay, interesting. That's the captain. Yeah, I feel like if they'd have shown off this like weapon style with this model, I think there'd be a lot less complaints. But then again, I've been wrong, very much wrong before about what I think would cause less complaints. Oh. Oh. Right, anyway, where are we at? Painting a model. So, I want to try a new gold recipe today. Where the model gets painted in a dark brown and then dry brushed with the gold. Because I want to see if that gives me like an aged effect. So, I need to pick a good dark brown. I think I'm probably going to go with this Ancient Forest here from Tooth and Coats. The red puts me off, but that's a taste thing. That's fair. I mean, I'm a Blood Angels fan, but to be fair, all my Blood Angels are half red, half black, so... Except for... the guys like this, like the Judicia and stuff. So... Yeah, might have got a little spice extra to them for my Angel Sanguine. You're right, there should be black. Whoa, 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 you Black Templars, you've got enough Space Marines already. Have people seen the official mini display cases? Are they the Wicked Brick ones? Are they the ones you're on about, the Wicked Brick display ones? If I was to run Blood Angels, I'd probably do an alternative colour. You know what? There are some really, really nice alternative coloured Space Marines out there now. Oh, I don't know if this is a dark enough brown, you know. Yeah, there are some really, really nice... because you've got... oh, they did an article on... You've obviously got yellow for the Lamenters, but that means you have to do checkers, which is always a bit tough. I feel like I've gone the wrong brown. I feel I should have gone a bit darker. Let's going to try these two next to each other. Ooh, see which one I want. But there's a really nice new one called... oh, what was it called? Hold on, let me find the article for it. There was a really nice new Blood Angel Successor chapter in... released a little while ago in one of the books. And they had it, and they were like almost Alpha Legion colour scheme. They were the something spears. I'm trying to remember what they were called. Oh, these ones. Ooh, I didn't realize I was zoomed out. These ones. They're really nice. Like, I thought they were kind of cool. You obviously got Flesh Terrors there. You've got the different Lamenters. You got my boys, the Angel Sanguine over here. I feel like, yeah, there's some good alternative colour schemes you can do. But I do like this one. I do like this colour scheme, which is really, really nice. I think it's very nice. Can't remember what they're called. There's something Spears. Can't remember what they're called. Atlantean Spears. Yeah, that's it. The Atlantean Spears. I think they look great. They had some interesting lore for them. These guys here. They had some really interesting lore for them. I think they were... I can't remember what the lore for them, but they're kind of nice. I do like the look of them. Oh yes, I definitely chose the wrong brown. So I'm just trying to tap down this thing. Some Greek Marines would be sweet. Yes, there was I tell you who's a Marine faction I've always wanted to do a paint scheme for, but it would require quite a bit of kit bashing, and that's the Celestial Lions. Oh, they're very cool. There's a really nice Greek-themed one. What was the Greek-themed one? They used to have, like, shields and stuff for them. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember who it was. There was a really cool Greek-themed one. I can't remember who it was. I do like the Celestial Lions. Where is it? Celestial Lions. Because I feel like you could do some really cool stuff with these. They're kind of like the inverse of... where are we at? Of Ultramarines, where their main armor is gold, but their shoulder pad is... their shoulder pads are blue. But there's this artwork. It's very much this particular piece of artwork that makes me like, oh, like I want to try these. It's really, really cool. I'm like, ooh. This is the Chapter Master. I feel like they would be kitbashed really well with like Stormcast, but it also looks like they've got a little bit of Custodes in there as well. They've got a lot of really nice, cool detail. They're very, very cool. Yeah, they look like they kitbash well to be part Custodes, part Stormcasts, and then like kind of embellishments to the Space Marines. And where there's so many Custodes out there which have so many Stormcasting Custodes out there that have cool new Lion parts added to them. Like Lion shoulder pads or Lion chest plates. I feel like we can find some cool stuff. Right. So, right, I'm going to try this. We'll test on the shield to start with. So, this was a technique I saw of basically testing out gold, but to kind of give you a really cool aged gold quite easy. And it's prime the model in brown. So, a lot of people use like Rhinox hide and stuff for it. So, I've just gone for a dark brown from the Two Thin Coats range. And then dry brush on the gold. Or sponge on the gold. Was kind of like the takeaway. And you basically get this really nice kind of aged gold effect. So I thought I'd give this a whirl today and see how this comes out as a gold. I'm trying to think of a quick way to do the gold on my Custodes. Now I could do it with the airbrush, but I kind of want it to look a little bit funky. I'm painting some SCs so far. SCs. Stormcast. Oh, that have lion pads. There we go. Sorry, Stormcast. Lion pads. I'm now thinking of give them to a Space Marines makeover. Yes. The Celestial Lions are really cool. The Celestial Lions were, where were they left? They were I can't remember what they were. They were left to defend somewhere. I can't remember where they were left to defend. What was their lore? They're an Imperial Fist successor chapter. But they are from the Unknown Founding. Where are they at? Where are we at? Oh yeah, they took heavy losses during the Third War for Armageddon. That was the big one. That was their biggest loss. I can't remember exactly what they were called. So, have I seen Vince's gold recipe? Ventura's gold recipe? Vince. So I've got like 3 different Vinces going around my head. Is the Vince Ventura? I've seen them do a gold on Instagram, but a while ago. I don't think I've sat and looked at their recipe though. I feel like is it going to be a simple gold? Or is it going to be quite an intense gold, I suppose, is the big question there. I think the main thing for me is I want it quick. Is the goal from this. Because I've done the one what do you call it? I've seen a really cool recipe using, where have I put them? The inks I've got. Where did I put my box of inks? So I'm trying to find the gold. I've got a box of inks that I've got like a really nice silver in there, and then I've seen the one where you put a couple of droplets of where is it? Where are my box of inks actually? I'm now very confused. Oh, they're right here. Yeah, because I've got this box of metallic inks, which Verity got me for a gift a little while ago, and they've got a gold in it, which I think is quite a nice gold. It's very, it's the thing with the inks is they'll go through the airbrush really, really well, which is nice. But I've also seen a cool recipe where you basically take the silver ink, and then you mix this with you mix this with whatever like kind of copper or wash to create a gold, and then you just blast it through the airbrush, and because it's an ink, it settles really, really well. So I had that as an idea for a while, but I wanted to try something else out first before I. Not that I have a problem using my airbrush, it's more just sort of like, if I can do it, try out a dry brushing scheme first, see how this comes together. But we'll test it out on the shield first. The gold recipe I use is quick. What's your gold recipe, maggots? I'm always up for hearing about what other people are doing. It's with pigments and stuff, so it looks awesome. Ooh, I do have fun pigments. Could do things for pigments. Because my normal gold recipe has always been... So this gold recipe was following Duncan Rhodes's original Warhammer TV Paint Up the Custodes guide, which was Retributor armor base, sterling silver for highlights, using auric gold for the other elements of gold and things like that. And it's a nice recipe, and I really enjoyed this. Just a lot of work. And doing this across 5 models was fine when there were only 5 Custodes in existence from the Burning of Prospero box. When they became a full-blown army, it was a bit more work, which meant like I never really finished some models, being the downside here. So there was a lot more work that needed to be done for them. And I kind of got a bit burnt out painting gold. So, and then there's a few others where I've gone a little bit kind of simpler with the gold recipe. But I think you can tell when the armies are next to each other that they're a little bit different. I've seen the contrast method for doing gold, which is definitely intriguing, which is prime the model Retributor armor, dry brush it with Stormhost silver, and then go over it with Skeleton Horde contrast to give kind of like a faux non-metallic metal-y gold. That's supposed to be kind of good. But yeah, I'm trying to know what other golds they've got. For my elves, I am planning on painting them silver and slapping Skeleton Horde contrast over the top. That'd be cool. That'd be nice. Scale 75 Necro Gold, brown oil wash, and then an AK True Metallic Metal Wax Gold dry brushed. I hadn't thought about oils, to be fair. I'd looked at some sponging and some dry brushing techniques. Was what I was looking at trying. I'm trying to think actually, where is... I bought a new dry brush and I can't find it. Where is it gone? I brought a triple pack of dry brushes. I've used one of them, but I now can't find the one I've used, which is the one I need. Where's it gone? Oops. Oh, just smashed a load of my paintbrushes there. Where on earth is... There it is. Small dry brush. I picked up the Vallejo brushes, set dry brushes, to give them a whirl. The ones I've already painted years ago, I did the same method but with Seraphim Sepia instead of Skeleton Horde. That's a decent one. I did the different golds I've got over here were all kind of variations. Most of them were like Retributor armor with either Reichlin Flesh Shade or Seraphim Sepia in different places to give different kind of like highlights. But then with like Stormhost Silver as the dry brush. Just to pick out like the peak ends of it. Because you can see that's the standard Retributor armor primer versus the bit with the wash over it. I think this was Reichlin Flesh Shade, but the old Reichlin Flesh Shade, not the new one. So again, kind of like, can I replicate this? But these are going to be different to my 40k Custodes. That's the aim. Right, need to think of what gold to use now. Now, the other option I've got is do a very simple army painter speed paint gold. That's one option as well. Let's go with gold. Let's go with Dragon's Gold, which is basically Retributor armor with a slightly darker. Let's give this a whirl, shall we? Ooh. I've started using the True Metallic Metal glazing in select areas over regular paint to get more realistic look recently. You know what? I was debating about using the Ancient Gold, the Aged Metal wash over the gold, the one from the True Metallic set. I did look, and they didn't have any in Element when I was there. I did look to see if they had the Imperial Gold sets of gold from the True Metallic Metal set, but they didn't have any sets nor the individual bottles. People have been clearly prepping for their Custodes. Seraphim Sepia over Ironbreaker with a Canoptic Alloy highlight makes for an interesting pale gold effect, which is cool. Ooh. Effectively using True Metallic Metal as a regular paint. That sounds cool. Yeah, because I kind of liked... Because this was the Aged Metal gold. And it's a little bit too green for what I'm after for Custodes. I feel like Custodes is a bit more of a warmer gold. But I was thinking maybe use some of these effects to kind of get a cool, different wave of gold. Who would have thought there's so many different variations of gold, right? Let's give this a... I've got so many gold paints over here. I've got like so much just to mess around with. I'm like, I've got gold inks, I've got gold paints, I've got pigments, I've got silvers, I've got green golds, I've got ancient golds, I've got relic golds. There's so many different golds. So this is going to be interesting to see how this all comes out. But I wanted to try this technique first, which is brown base coat and dry brush gold, which I thought sounds kind of interesting. It's kind of a lighter dry brush. I blame Terry's gold for the variations. Terry's gold. There's a lot of good looking metals, but they're not gold and they all look different. That's kind of it. There's a lot of really nice ones. So I wanted to see how these kind of come out. That bristle just come out of this brand new dry brush? Outrageous if it did. No. So it's quite a heavy dry brush. thought if I can get this working, it's kind of like a cool looking age. What is with this paintbrush? You guys seen that? Like 4 bristles have just come out in me just trying to dry brush this. What's going on with this dry brush here? I feel like I may have gone a bit too heavy with the gold in some places. Yeah, I might have gone a bit heavy with it, but I feel like it's kind of getting the kind of aged gold effect. With the brown as like the shadow. I feel that's quite nice actually. I think whereas if I do it just over the black, how does it look just over the black? Or it'll look a bit too dark. Whereas I think the brown adds a little bit of colour to it. Yeah, I think I may have got a bit heavy on the shield, but I feel like that's quite nice actually. I feel like over the black actually looks really nice as well. I feel like I went too heavy on the shield. That was my problem. I prefer over the black personally, but I like my dark styles. I suppose that's kind of it for me. Is like I've always imagined the Custodies being pretty resplendent in their armor, if that makes sense. So like the idea of them being in more of a grim dark gold is all new for me, but I kind of like the idea of mixing it up a little bit. So I'm just gonna try and put a bit back here. I could just mix it up with different various types of gold, I suppose. The brown's an interesting choice. No, TMM Aged Metal works well. Amazing with a dry brush I found over a black primer. Let's give it a whirl. I've got that. Aged Metal. Just the base, did you say? Or the, Just the base colour one. Just the base paint. Let's give it a whirl. And that's what today's all about, trying out different colour styles. I feel like I want my kind of Custodies to look a little different for Heresy. And Heresy is a little bit more grimdark, isn't it, right? That's the whole point. Natman Zombie 17 done. Should have the unit done by tomorrow evening. Smashing it, Natman. Absolutely smooshing it. It's got a good shake. Ooh. I've managed to build 30 models this weekend. Whoa. Nailing it. I have built nothing. That's also true. I built the new Custodies tank and the shield captain. I haven't built any of the other stuff yet. That's my plan for probably tomorrow, is to sit and build some of that stuff. Right, let's try this over the black. Ooh. Ooh, that is nice. Is very like kind of aged. Like, it sounds really stupid. It is a very aged metal though, isn't it? That is nice, actually. Man, these true metallic metals are just magic. I'll try the other gold a second. We'll open the other one. I mean, I wouldn't hate you, don't worry. That's what today's all about, just testing out different golds. Do you know what I mean? Might go the other way where I really like it and I'm like, damn it. Let's go back to this gold a second. It's going to do the other half of this model. So I've got a direct comparison side by side. I've got a pure side-by-side comparison of them there. Because the one's definitely a much warmer gold than the other, isn't it? So you got like kind of a much more warmer gold. So the shield's over a brown, and the others are over a black. And then we've got on the other side the aged metal, which is a... Look at it, it's exactly what it is, isn't it? It's a much more aged gold. What if you tried to put a little bit of the aged one as a highlight over what I've already done? Okay, let's give it a whirl. Very lightly. Very light. I'll put it over half the shield. Did I go too light there? I can't really see any difference. Oh, actually, no, there is a difference there, isn't it? You can tell. Yeah. Okay, weirdly, I can tell on the camera more than I can in person. Which is kind of interesting. Okay. And this is a fairly quick technique as well, because I'm just going to have to sit and dry brush the Custodes. Now, the new models are a lot more detailed. That's one thing we've got to take into consideration here. And I've also got to think how I'm going to do the tank. So we've got to think about here. I'm like you, I experiment more than I actually paint. That's kind of it. I'm just like, like, let's experiment here. I feel like the darker the gold, the brighter the highlight you need to make it really pop. Grimdark is all about contrast. That's true. I feel like I'm just going to take a picture of this midway so I can kind of remember what I've done so far. And then now, what I want to try and do is I think I might use some of the different washes over this to have a look and see what these look like. I do think I want to try the aged metal wash. Where have I put it? Yes, yes. I would use it if I could figure out where I put it. Yes, there it is. The aged metal shade. And then I'm kind of wondering if I did a dry brush with the sterling silver as like the super vibrant gold highlight. Because they're like silver's almost like a... Yeah, I wonder if that'll work. They're like... It's almost white. It's almost platinum white. Whereas is the base, like these two colors are wildly different. like for the sterling silver. Maybe that one will do. Let's try just putting a bit of a shade. I don't know, should I put the highlight on now before the shade? Now, I'll try the shade first. My goal here is to keep this as simple as possible. Yeah, my whole thought process was I don't want to spend ages painting them. Like, I love custodies, and I could very easily spend a long time getting them all, like, absolutely to where I want them to be. But I really don't need to, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I'm fine. So I'm going to go over probably the top half here, and let's have a look at this wash. A very dark wash. Why is this so... This is very dark. I don't remember this being this dark. I feel that's too dark. That's almost like an oil wash. Why is that so dark? I don't remember that being that dark. It definitely wasn't that dark on this guy. That's more like messy ancient gold. I'm not feeling that. Let's give this a bit of a shake in case I didn't shake it enough. Or if that's it. So it's really thinning this down on the model. It looks like more work that you might want to bring it back to. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's come out really dark. I'm almost covering this. I'm trying to wash the wash off, so to speak. I don't really understand why that came out. I think I didn't shake it enough. It might be the problem there. That might have been a me issue. User error. Yeah, it's definitely gone a bit darker. Try it on the back part of this model. Let me thin it down with a bit of medium. Yeah, it's interesting just seeing other gold recipes. I'm trying to think in my head, what other golds have I done? But I think most of the time it's always been more warmer golds. So more ancient gold's kind of interesting to mess around with, more aged. Because effectively this wash is a greenish wash. It's probably why I'm not quite used to where it'll be. I suppose the problem here actually is it does say this wash is not an all-over wash. This wash is meant to be just a recess one, but again, in interest of speed here, I'm happy to all-over wash it. Let that sell. We'll leave that to dry up. Let's try this again now. It's a bit thinner. Now we'll go back over with I think maybe the light gold. Dry brush. I've been building the Carnus model. Some bits set aside to paint separately is to get the underneath bits. Got a spare head that I might try an aged gold as a base trophy for a Skaven. Ooh, that's cool. Ooh. Alright, wait for these washes to dry. It is taking it much darker, isn't it? Let's zoom in a bit. Let's give it. I was like, why do I keep lifting it to the camera? I could just zoom in. Sit and wait for that wash to dry. I don't remember it being that dark. Okay, but that's not that dark. I'll do blue custodies. Want something different? Boom! Yeah. Yes. Trying to think. It's going to be a nice, easy way of doing this gold. I do find if you do an all-over wash, it dulls everything. I've never tried the flesh wash over the two metallic metal shade. I did the for most of the stuff. I did a recess shade wash, but I think for this one, because I'm trying to think of speed, my brain is like just do an all-over wash and see how, then like work on the highlights again. But I guess that's more trying to find out if that's going to be the right move. Just trying to think. Let's open my age metal second. Over here. Because I almost feel like the age metal's a bit too green. It's very cool, but yeah, I feel like the all-over wash is not the right move. But we wait and we see, right? I am intrigued by this more dry brush style for it. It's kind of interesting. So let's grab these. Yeah, maybe dilute with water. Experimental food. Yeah, so I did. The first wash I put on there was just the pure wash, and then I sponged all that off. But then I did just thin it down with some thinner to 50/50, and I feel like I prefer that. It does take it down a bit though. Yeah, personally I would just do a dry brush over a very dark base color and selectively wash. I feel that could achieve like a really cool, like again, speed for these models. I think I suppose for me is like the idea of like how different these Stormcast color, these golds are going to look next to each other, but that's the whole point, right? I want my Heresy ones to look a little different. I mean, there's nothing stopping me running them in my 40k army, I suppose, but but I feel like, for me, my brain is just like, what's the word for it? I feel my brain is like, it's Heresy, right? It's the height of war. Everything's a bit more grimdark. So that's true. No two suits of ancient armor would look the same. That's very true. Because this is very much Retributor armor, Reichlin Flesh Shade wash. Retributor armor, Stormhost Silver dry brush, Reichlin Flesh Shade wash with selective parts of Auric armor gold, which you can kind of see on the helmet there. There's different like golds between what's on the wings of the helmet versus the base color. So and part of me's like, the Custodies really, they're at the height of their power now. Like, they weren't not just at the height there, they were the 10,000 then as they are the 10,000 now. So I'm kind of like, but I still feel like Heresy itself is just a bit more grimdark. Yeah, I mean, grimdark isn't to everyone's taste. I personally like it myself, but not going overboard. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's kind of the whole point of this is just to get out of the comfort zone a little bit and try something new. Quick question for Stormcast. What colours do you lot do for your sword scabbards? Depends, because my Stormcast Eternals are Anvils of the Heldenhammer with a twist. So mine are black armour with an elvish metal trim. Do I have one anywhere? You know, I don't think I have a single one anywhere to show you. Now I think about it. Where are my Stormcasts? That's a valid point. I don't know. Have I got a picture on my Instagram? So I think my scabbards on mine, I don't know if I did the traditional brown. Let me scroll back a Rooney and see what I can find. Which, I have to admit, scrolling back would normally be a problem, but ever since I've started trying to post every day this year, I'm like, oh no, I've got so far to scroll back now. Let me have a look. I can't remember what I did for my scabbards on mine. What are you doing? Gold Custodes or something a bit different? Oh, Custodes, sorry, Stormcast, not Custodes. Ooh, dad jokes have been redeemed. Dump, 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 dump. Will they go through? Marquis is like, yes, I would get my dad jokes through. Super Weasel is like, no. No, 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 no. Man, that's not a great photo of my Stormcasts. I was trying to find photos of my Stormcasts, but I feel I have bad photos of them. I've got a whip photo. I've got a whip photo of them. It's a really bad photo. But yeah, there we go. They actually don't have any scabbards because they have hammers. That was a bad example. I feel I tend to default for my Stormcasts. I tend to go... what's this guy? What did this guy have? I mean, he was a test of all the metallic metals, so I feel like I did his scabbard colours. Like, not the metallic colours. Most of the time, I think I just end up defaulting to leather, like I do on the my Space Marines. Just a dark brown with a slightly lighter brown highlight and then some chipping into it just to give it a bit of an aged look. I think I tend to default to that for most. I think most scabbards and packages are normally like a leather material, and I think I just have a standard leather recipe I use. Which is a little on the dull side, I suppose. Yeah, like yeah, I tend to use the same sort of leather recipe on everything, actually. Sorry, I feel I'm not being much helpful here. Oh, hold on. Oh, has he got a scabbard? Ah, my one really nicely painted Stormcast doesn't have a scabbard. This was an interesting way I did the gold on this. This is just this was a silver ink, and the gold just has a wash over it. That's how I got the gold on that, and I think it came out quite well. Because I did debate about doing this gold for the Custodes. So prime the model silver, but like really bright silver, and then use a thin down I think it was a copper ink as a wash, and then it created the gold. And that already gave like that highlight is just where it naturally flowed. If that makes sense. Like there's no dry brushing or highlighting on that. That was just the wash flowed into the shoulder powder really well and just picked up the natural silverness underneath. I was trying to do like a speedy gold, and I think I kind of achieved it fairly well on that. I think dull leathers and cloaks makes the gold look even better psychologically. I think that's kind of it. Nah, it's fine. I was just curious to pop in my head while I was looking at them. Maybe alternative leathers, a bit of difference. I think that's sometimes it. With the models that are so metallic, I find like having a dull matte colour on there does work well. Kind of like Abaddon's like a good example of this. He's got so much metallic on him. His armour being the kind of a matte and the centre of his belt being a matte worked really well. Same with his cloak. I think one of the best Eye of Horuses I've ever painted. I feel like. It was a good time. We did this in a 24-hour stream, didn't we? I remember this guy. We did our first ever 24-hour stream. We painted this guy in our first ever Miniatures for Mind event. Death to the Imperial Fist underneath. I've never fielded him, you know? I've never fielded this Abaddon. He just sits on my shelf. He's just purely a display piece. He just sits there like, oh, hey! He's never been fielded. I don't have an army for it. Yeah. Let's have a look at my shelf of stuff now. I'm still waiting for this wash to dry. I think it's dried now. Oh, almost there. It's still a tiny little speck on the back. So what? Dry brush in first with the lighter gold. And then maybe you dry brush up. Or spot highlight with the silver. Let's crack a pack while we wait. Well, hey! I've actually just reminded me I haven't uploaded my pack for today yet. We'll crack a pack while we wait. I'll zoom out a bit. Whoop. There we go. So, Super Weasel, as you redeemed it, you get the choice. What do I have available over here? Oh, I've got 4 packs over here today. Apparently. Super Weasel, you have Assassin's Creed, Spider-Man, Lorwyn, Turtles. That's what I have available in the room. Choose your packs. It's like the choose your character. 1 Lorwyn. Lorwyn Eclipsed. Whoop. Oops, not very much stuff. So we have a Lorwyn Eclipsed Play Booster, released in January of this year. And a very good set, very fun set. Not as powerful as a set as you think, if that makes any sense. Like, it's a good set, and if you play it in limited format, it's a fairly underpowered set, but it has some cracking cards in here. The chase cards, what we're looking for is I myself am after a card called a Bloom Tender. But the chase cards really in here are things like Bitter Bloom Bearer, or the Formidable Speaker is a pretty good card at the moment. Or is it Deceit and Wistfulness? The 2 of the cards as well. Anyway, let's dive on in. Let's see what we get. You have first off, Super Weasel, your Moon Glove Extractor. It's actually a good draw capability on that. The Kuralath Zealot. Wow, what a wicked artwork. I liked the fact that in Limited, a lot of these had land cycling for quite high cost cards, so if you drew them early on, you could just cycle out. Tend the Sprigs. Oh, look at the little guy. Look at that little onion boy right there. Yeah. Great ramp. And then you can also, if you have a lot of tree lands, you can create a tree folk. Curl Wrath Mystic. Kind of the blue flyer to the red fire guy we saw before. The Gallant Fowl Knight. It's a tiny Kithkin riding what looks like a guinea fowl. Like a mutated guinea fowl. Like, charge! I mean, let's face it, if that would, that's like a small person with a spear riding a guinea fowl running towards you, I feel that would be enough fear to be like, either a well-placed kick, otherwise I'm dead. Foraging Wickermore. That's a cool scarecrow. Very cool. Something I'm surprised we don't have more of in either Age of Sigmar or generally, just more like scarecrow-themed stuff. There's the scarecrows and Blood Bowl, but I can't really think of much else scarecrow-y would be kind of cool. Same with like fairies in general. Silvergill Mentor. It's a merfolk. The artwork in this set was really nice. Reaping Willow. Lots of trees. Don't mess with the trees. The whole point of this thing. Don't you mess with no trees now. The Sting Slinger. Is that literally a catapult full of wasps or hornets? That's so evil. That is so evil. Can you imagine that? Just someone going, it's going to fire a bunch of like a wasp nest or a hornet's nest at you. You'd be like, nope, 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 I'm dead. The Springleaf Drum. Oh, I love the gradient, the pink up to the purple on that. Which is very cool. It's quite actually good. Tap an untap creature you control out of mana. It's actually got some good utility, that has. Then we have Sunderflock as our rare. Excellent scouts, makes the greatest mana among elementals you control, so good in elemental deck. There's flying, and it could cost a lot less, which is cool. You've got 6 or 7 elementals on the field, it only costs you the 2 pips. When this creature enters, if you cast it, return all non-elemental creatures to owners. Woo! And it's a board wipe. If you've got enough elementals on the field, you return all non-elemental. That's a nice one-sided board wipe because it just bounces everything. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, actually. Oh! Oh! That is a cracking pull. Bitter Blossom special guest. Ho 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 ho! What a pull! What an absolute pull! That is cracking. That is. Hold on. Let's have a look at this. That is a absolute banging pull. Let's have a look at this. This is the special guest for Lorwyn. Whoo! Oh. Do I need? I think I might need a sleeve. Let's have a look at this. Special guest, Lorwyn Bitter Blossom. And it is... Is it not in the extras? The special guests? Oh, is it count as... having a look now. Where are the special guests in here? So I'll have a look and see if I can find the special guest. Whoa! I think I might need a sleeve. Hey, Bertie!
You want a sleeve?
Thank you very much. Grab a sleeve.
Then we'll give you.
It's got a bit of a... Can I have a different sleeve?
Where are your sleeves? Milkshake, no!
Milkshake, no! It should just be there, I think. Yeah, sorry. Where is Bitter Blossom? It's a special guest. I can't remember what this turns up under. Milkshake, no. Milkshake has decided to invade the room. I'm trying to find it. Get on, Milkshake. Out of the room, little buddy. And let's pop that down. Woo! Hey, Carol. Come on, buddy. Here you go. He's not happy about it. Thank you, Verdi. Thank you, wifey. Verdi bought me a sleeve. Where are we at? Bitter Blossom special guest. About a tenner. Woohoo! Not bad. Not bad at all. Not a bad pull at all. The special guest version... hold on, actually, the special guest version in non-foil, 20 quid. Let's go! No, let's go. We still got more cards on here as well. Oh, straight into a sleeve. What a cracking ball. I love this as well, because the way that they made the artwork for this is they got a really lovely artist, whose name completely escapes me, to make this in... this is actually made out of layers of papercraft. And then they took a photo from the top down. It was, special guest. They're really nice. Harry Conway did the art for this. It's stunning, right? Idea. They got loads of people to make the paper craft. Wow. Super Weasel picking a good pack here today. We still got a foil to go. And one more card. The Reluctant Down card is our foil. And then a nice foil full art forest. Woo! I love that little eclipse over there. Followed by a reversible card. In case we need a reversible card, a spare one. Well, hey, nice pulls. Nice pulls on that one. Super Weasel picking a cracking pack right there. That's such a cool card. I know exactly what deck I want to put that in. I know exactly what deck I want to put that in. Nice. Cracking pull on that one. Nice one, Super Weasel. There we go. You fed my cardboard crack addiction wonderfully there. Nice. Just need the bearer. I know the Bitter Bloom bearer is the next one, isn't it? I like the markers. It will kill. It will indeed. You were thinking of building a Toughness Matters deck. I feel if you need anything for that, I picked up the Abzan deck from Dragonstorm, which is all about Toughness Matters. So if you need anything from that, hit me up. That's a cool precon to get you started with that stuff, which I think is very cool. Do. But yes. It came out, yeah, okay, cool. I'm just like, woohoo! Let's go! Oh. Anyway, back to the golds. back to the painting of minis that I'm supposed to be doing, right? Right, so let's have a good examine of this. So the shield is the brown with the 2 golds dry brushed over. I feel like we're not getting that much of a difference from the brown. I do think I went a bit too heavy with it. Then what we would see over the black. I mean, the black is definitely more grimdarky. But I think the brown would just take away, if you look at the area under here, you would take away just some of the really dark shadows, which I think wouldn't be too bad, especially for the Custodies, because their armor would be well looked after, just a bit aged in the heat of battle. And then on the back side of it, we've got the same 2 colors. So this is the brighter Retributor armor versus the aged metal with the wash over it. I feel that the wash has added a good level of texture to that, actually, versus the front of the unwashed part of it. It's lost a little bit of shine, which is kind of expected when you do an all-over wash. So I think I'm with you all that on Mecha about doing a spot recess shade with the wash instead. It does take a bit longer, but wouldn't be too bad. I'm going to try with a bit of the dry brushing of this light now. This light gold. Just a very light dry brush. Because it's such a vibrant gold this is. I like to kind of show you the difference of these golds. Like that's the aged metal highlight. It's such a vibrant popping difference. So let's just do a really gentle highlight. Oh, that has definitely brought that pop up a little bit more. That's it, yeah, I agree. Less fixing at a later point. Oh, I like that. That's actually really nice pop highlight colour. Ooh. And then from the back end of it, after the bit that's had the wash on, let's do a top down. It's doing a 1, just aiming down, just not going back up, just going down. Top level highlight. Oh, I think that looks really nice. That's picked out those edges really well, just to give that really nice, like, kind of pop shine again. I feel like we're onto something here with how to do the gold highlights. I just know that the Custodies themselves, there's a lot more going on with them than what we see on here. Just trying to think. The main card I need is Doran, the Siege Tower from the OG Laurelin. Wasn't that reprinted in Lord of the Rings? Wasn't that Treebeard? Was that Treebeard in the Lord of the Rings? I'm trying to think. I think, was he the special guest? Or in the Commander deck, maybe? I think. I remember Treebeard had a weird toughness defense thing And I wonder if that's what's popping around in my head. I mean, to be fair, it'd probably be cheaper to get the old one from Lorwyn than it would to buy the one from Lord of the Rings. But I didn't know if you maybe have pulled it in your Lord of the Rings pile. I think it was in the Commander decks. So, was it in the Commander deck? I think. Maybe? I'm trying to remember now. I'm trying to think. Was it? Which way around was it? Was it? Is that what you use as your commander? Yeah, you're right. It was Treebeard from one of the precons. Oh, do you have that? Is that one that you have? I guess if you have it, that saves you hunting around for it. I don't know which precon it was in. Well, hey, the Rangers are finished. Nice. I don't know which one it was in. Oh, you didn't pick up any of them. Ah, fair enough. Which one was it in? So, what colours was it? Grixis? No, not Grixis. What colours is he? Let's have a nosy. See if I can find. White, green, black? White, green, black. Abzan. So that would have been in the Frodo one. Because that was the colours. The Sam and Frodo one. Treebeard, yeah, and the Sam and Frodo one. Check my place. The place I would normally pick that up from is sold out. As they do it in MSRP. Let me check other places. Let me see if anyone else has got it. Because I feel I've seen this on the shelf somewhere. It might be worth asking in the card game chat. Because I think a few people did pick that up. You might get lucky. The only other place I think you can pick up the main guy from would be where did he have a reprint? Double Masters reprint. So I don't know if you might have pulled him in a Double Masters pack if you're lucky. He's about £20. Ooh, what, for the Treebeard variant or just the normal variant? Because I feel at that point you might as well just pick up the normal variant, right? As cool as the Treebeard one is. Yeah, I feel like I think I'm happy with the gold that we've got on here now. I think let's do a bit of a spot recess highlight. I don't know if I want to push the highlight even higher with the silver. I don't know if I'd need one. For any variant. Oh, damn. Yeah, that's pricey. Didn't he have a better version of him released in Law and Eclipsed? Did he not have a better version? Or is it the original version? Is that the better one? I'm trying to think now. What was the version? Because didn't you pull one at the pre-release? Or am I imagining things here? Or is that why you want to build it? You need... Oh, you need both. Okay, cool. The Besieged by Time was the one that you pulled, wasn't it? Yeah. That's the one. What would you run as your commander? Sorry, I've got on to a magic chat now. I'm like, ha ha ha, my other hobby. Ooh. Just tapping this paint down so it stops coming out the top. Well, it's meant to. The downside I find with dropper bottles in general is just sometimes you sit there and the paint still comes like out the top and you're like, stop! I don't want you coming out the top anymore. Get back in. No matter how much you tap it down. I feel like the AK interactive ones are better than most other paint pots for not this not happening. Yeah, because otherwise you just end up with your paint spilling over. Oh, I lost nearly half a bottle of Vallejo yesterday. A thick worm came out followed by the one. No! Oh no! What, the standard Vallejos or the true metallic? Ah, the older game color ones, yeah. I haven't tried any of the new game colors actually. I've got some of the older model colors and game colors, but I never tried ever since they did their rebrand. I didn't try any of them. Not through any reason, not through like I'm not going to try them. I just haven't had a need to pick any up to replace any I have. I skipped most of it back in. That's all right then. You're like, back in we go. So let's try a little silver dry brush, very light silver dry brush. I don't know if I need to push it as far as the silver dry brush, you know. But we're experimenting, so let's try the really bright. This is the bright silver highlights that you can see on my hand right here, which I feel is a bit nuts. Yeah, it's way too bright. They're almost just white. Yes, that's way too bright for me. Yeah, that's almost like, woof. 5 years without having to replace one color is pretty good. Yeah, that's fair. That's pretty decent. Have you got Canoptek alloy? I do. My precious Canoptek alloy. The armor shade. Oh, wait, no. Canoptek alloy driver? Sorry, paint. Not Cryptek armor shade gloss. That's the other one I was thinking you meant then. Canoptek alloy. I do, just not accessible. I know I do have it. It's in my box of paints in the front room. Because I took down my shelves. I had to have my box paints in the front room. I feel like the super bright silver dry, the hyper silver was a bit too bright. I think I was happy with just the light dry brush. I don't think I need to go as bright silver on there as it looks. Okay. So, I think we've got a gold down, although where we're at now is I think I need to try this on a Custody. Now, I might grab on a... Yeah, I think I won't try it on the Shield Captain. Actually, there's no reason why I shouldn't try it on the Shield Captain, right? I mean, she's the... I know that she's... I might just build one of the normal guys and try them on them. And then I think we're probably about where we want to be for the golds. I think... I'm thinking, maybe, yeah. That'd probably be about right. I was wondering in my head. I feel like, yeah, maybe try on one of the normal Custodies first. Like the, I say normal, the standard Custody model, because I feel like they're a bit more, together, if that makes any sense. Like, the way that the models are posed is the very standard sort of style, if that makes sense. They're very just like, okay, that should be fairly easy to get that detail on there. And then the tricky part is going to be choosing robe colours and cloak colours, because that's the bit where I'm like, I've got to try and figure out grimdark fabric if I'm doing a more grimdark aged gold, and I have not really tried that. So this whole army is going to be a bit of an experiment. And then at some point, I've got to figure out how on earth I do it to this thing, which is massive. This thing is huge. I forget how big this is. Stipple the cloaks. Ooh, I've not really tried stippling. Stippling, would you recommend stippling over sponging? Also, I appreciate how much of this moves. It's like the fact that just clips on and off is very cool. Several layers of stippling will help you get layers of tone for the grimdark. Okay. I will give that a whirl then. I feel like we have a plan. Don't worry, Baldric. We have a cunning plan. And by several, I mean lots of stippling. Okay, what would you... sorry to ask you a follow-up question. What would you recommend as a stippling brush? Because I don't have a stippling... I know you can buy specific stippling brushes. Just any brush? An old brush? Short bristles? Long bristles? Synthetic? Non-synthetic? I'm just trying to have a look at what brushes I've got. As I've never done the technique before. Any advice is greatly appreciated. A sharp one for careful stippling, an older one for more shotgun effect. Okay. This is a pretty small, beaten up brush. Should probably do the job. So like a... Okay. Cool. It is amazing the difference that brown instead of the gold makes, though, isn't it? That brown gives it a much more warmth underneath for the colour. I've got to decide if I want to do the warmer brown or the more grimdark dark. Or what if I took an even darker brown than what I used? Would that help, maybe? I splayed an older brush right out, so it was a bit like a witch's broom. Oh, okay. Length doesn't matter that much, just but stiffer one helps. Okay, cool. An older dry brush will do the job. That'll probably, yeah, actually, now you say that, I'll probably do. I think if I've got an old, smaller dry brush. Oh, actually, I do have a very, very small dry brush. That is one of my favourite things. And I do need to buy a new one. Because this has been well and truly abused. My extra small dry brush by Rosemary Co. These are fantastic. I have used this till it's down to almost a nub. I've used this for years. I bought this 4 years ago? 5 years ago? 4 years ago? 5 years ago? And it has been well and truly abused. So I was like, whoa! Let's go with... Looking at what dark reds I've got. Red is just an iconic Custodes colour, right? But I think what I might do with these is I might do what I did with my 40k Custodes. It's probably one of the ones. Hey, Gonders! Welcome in. How are you doing? Thank you for the raid. Welcome on in. How is your stream? What are you getting up to? Welcome. How are we doing? How are we? Thank you for doing the shout out. What were you getting up to today, Gonders? And welcome into your community. If you folks haven't been here before, hello and welcome. My name is Lewis. This is Hobbytime at Healys. We are a mini painting channel all about staying safe, staying positive, and being ambassadors for our hobby. We are a family-friendly adjacency stream, so the auto mod might be a little bit more sensitive here than you see in other places, but no stress if it does flag anything up. Do not worry. But yes, we are currently experimenting with gold recipes to mess around for our custodies. This is a Stormcast. We're practicing this poor Stormcast Eternal. And we paint a bit of everything and anything here. So, yeah, I'd love to know what you were working on. And, yeah, what you're getting up to. You have the energy I'm missing. I'm trying to bring that the energy. Trying anyway. How are we here? Welcome on in, my friend. How you doing? Yeah, I'd love to know what you were working on. Please let me know. And folks, please drop Gond as a follow for giving us a raid on over and sharing their community with us. That'd be much appreciated. Yeah, so we paint a little bit of everything and anything here. So thank you for that follow, Gond, as much appreciated. We paint a bit of anything and everything here. I am most infamously known for this current model I'm about to show you. This is the model that is very much my the favorite thing, but also most people are like, oh, what have you done? It is Robute Gunganman. Right here. It's a Misa, Lord Regent of the Imperium, Okide. Misa gonna go big boomer on the heretics. It's yeah, one of my most infamous models, and not my only Jar Jar model. So there we go. This is Robute Gunganman. Gungan Regent of the Imperium. Oh, what have you done? I've created art. But I do a surprisingly large amount of Jar Jar minis. Age of Sigmar is also not safe. So there we go. This is a Jar Jarus Gungan soul right here. Superhero landing and all. Look at that. Boom. In all fairness, I watched episode 1 with my 7-year-old lad the other week and he loved it. He is hooked. Yes. It is a good time. If you can, when you're watching it from someone who loves like film cinematography, if you push out of your brain all of the like the side swipes and like the weird pacing, you're like, this is just enjoy it for what it is. It's such a good time. Put yourself back in that mentality. It's always a good one. So some say art, others say abominations. Hey, no abominations here. What else have we got? Where are my other Jar Jars? If you're a fan of Pokemon, you'll hate this one. This is our first ever bad 3D print we ever did. This was a massively failed 3D print of Char Char Binks. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to paint him up, and as a memory of that 3D printing, you know, this was back when I was doing 3D printing as a hobby rather than doing it as a business, and yeah, this is kind of what it started off as. We also have the Jarlamander, aka Sergeant Winks. There we are right here. This was a 60-minute speed paint challenge, which we had a great bit of fun with. I spent too long on the base, though. I think I spent too long on the base rather than on the actual model. So yeah, Jar Jar is available in all parts of the universe. My current Jar Jar piece of work is him in the Lord of the Rings universe. So if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, I apologise profusely in advance. This is a work in progress. But what is more scary than a Balrog? The Jalrog. You're right, I haven't reached Necromunda yet. Oh, Necromunda could be good. Necromunda could be a good time. I feel like if I was gonna do Necromunda, I've got to pick an iconic character, right? What about Cal Jericho? Cal Jericho! Oh yes, it's all coming together. Oh. But no, but for those of you who do, on occasion I do paint things that don't have a Jar Jar Binks' head. Most recently, in February, we did our charity month, which is an annual charity event we do for Mind, which is a mental health charity here in the UK. And we painted up this guy. Cell-shaded Mind Mangala Squigs. Which is an art style I absolutely adore. It takes a long time, but it is so much fun to do. And yeah, we painted up this guy. This is waiting for its display case to turn up, and I'll be shipping it off to its new home as it was raffled off and helped us raise over £800 for charity, which is fantastic. So there we go. So we do that as well. And but yeah, right now I'm currently working on Custodes. I have the new Custodes box that was came out the weekend, and we're currently working on testing a gold scheme for them today. You mentioned you were working on Death Guard. I love Death Guard. I'm a huge Nurgle fan. We recently just finished this Nurgle guy. Gelgus Pust from the Darkwater box. So we just finished this, and I adore Death Guard. Anything Nurgle, I have a real passion for anything Nurgle, because it was like my first proper army I put together. Like I've had my first few models I picked up are like Necrons or Drukhari, but when I got like into 40k, Death Guard were my jam. I love my Death Guard for it. And weirdly, most of my Age of Sigmar stuff is all Nurgle. I don't actually have really any painted Death Guard. I have 2. That needs to change. Need to go back to doing more Death Guard. But thank you so much again for the raid. I hope everyone went and dropped a follow. It would be much appreciated if you did. They're free, and they help us out as creators. But yeah, I hope you're well. And if you need to dash off, get yourself sorted, do your social posts and that, do not worry if you need to. Please make sure you take some time for self-care. But thank you for coming on in. If you do want to share any of your work, ! Discord in the chat. Feel free to post something in the Discord, and I'd love to bring it up if you're working on it. But yeah, we're just testing out some gold recipes in a minute, and then we were just having a chat about stippling, because I'd not done stippling before as a technique. So we were just chatting about giving that a whirl. But yes, oops. Oh no, classic. You know when you use a bit of paint from your dropper bottle, and then there's a slight blockage, so it just spews out loads. Not like a giant amount, but enough that it was a bit of annoying. So we were saying, Mecca was saying before, with stippling you have to be careful, because we inherently want to create patterns. But the goal here is to not create any patterns to make the stippling effect more effective. Interesting. So let's try a bit of... What's a good example? Do you think? Let's try it. Let's take this back. I feel like I'm just trying to cover it. Is this too wet? I feel like I'm doing a bad job of stippling. Is it lots of different colours? So start with a base coat of red. And stipple on more. Well, they go in with lots of different colours. Dry brushing is underrated when you get it down. A lot of people hate on it, same as people who use contrast paints, but it can speed things up. Why the hell not? 100%. I feel like I never quite understand the hate on people have for like things that are valid ways for painting. You know, like it's like one of those. You know, I feel there's the weird part of it is, and I stand by this. I think it's not. It's the same as competitive players. It is never the elite. It is never the award-winning people who dunk on people who use other techniques. It is the people kind of in the middle who want to be in that elite level. And are like, oh, if you're not painting non-metallic metal, are you even painting? Like, what do you mean you didn't spend 85 hours on a mini? Those are the people. There's a very small minority who really dunk on people who do other things. But end of the day, not everyone has 80 hours to spend on one mini. Like, I definitely don't. Like, if I'm going to paint something, I want to, like Custodes, I want to find a speedy way to do it. I don't care if that uses speed paints, contrast, dry brushing, or whatever. I just want to get my army painted to a nice standard on the tabletop. And that's the whole point, right? That's it. Gondor's 100% it. Fear the mid-table player. I had a whole diagram about this a while ago. Wait, have I still got it? I do have a whole diagram about this. This is fear the mid-table. So, right. So you have, and this is my experience with it. So you've got 25% in the top and bottom are normally lovely players at a tournament. The 30% in the middle are normally pretty good. And then you've got 10% here who, these people think they're in this category and then dunk on everyone here. Which means that these people only see the horrible people here and think everyone above them is bad. and likewise the other way round. But in reality, you've got people down the bottom who are having who are having losing every game but having a laugh, and you've got people at the top who are playing at a competitive level who do really, really well, who are having a great time and having some of the most fun games. There's these people who get angry at the people above them. Yeah, it's a very weird thing, and they're very much a minority, but they're very vocal. And I always say that I had the pleasure of playing somebody who was the world #1 for about 3 years in a row at 40k, and I had the absolute blast of a game. I got completely annihilated, but it was so much fun. And I met more and more people from this top circle who were actually the loveliest people to play, because they know the game and they want everyone to play at that level. They want everyone to play fast. They want everyone to play well and things, which is really great. But then I've also played people here who literally will play. I once played somebody in this category who made me step away from the game for about 18 months because they were so try hard in a really passive, like not even a passive aggressive way, in a really just nasty way. Not everybody is, but there's a small minority, and I think the same happens down here. There's a weird faux elite people, isn't there? Which also calls it. Yeah. I feel somebody just put on a t-shirt. Fear the mid... Yes, that's it. Fear the mid-table player. It's a very accurate simulation of lower, upper, and middle-class people in Britain. That's true. That is true, isn't it? Wait a minute. It's all coming together. Oh. Right. So you said create random patterns with this. Hey, Prom, how are you doing? I remember you saying if you can't have fun losing, then you're playing for the wrong reasons. 100%. Yeah, if you can't, like... I have had so many games where it's like, well, I'm definitely not winning this, but you know what? I'm going to have a laugh every single time I play. Every time I roll the dice, it's got to be a good laugh. And that's kind of it, isn't it? That's it, you know? It's one of those things. You know, there's always an element of like everybody wants to win, right? It's a game. It wouldn't be a game if people didn't want to win. The people who need the win is very different. And I feel like people who need a win that badly, that something is going on in their life, it probably means that there's something else going on there that's a bigger part of this. How are you though, Prom, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Did you get that last few percentage on Hollow Knight yet? Okay, hear me out. The skill of this scale is being able to shift your game to match the players you're drawn against. The top draw players need to be able to crank it down to players lower down, and also the lower players need to expect someone might hit someone with bigger expectations than them, and at least understand what's going into a high level game. I 100% agree. There is an amazing person in our community. It's Ape of Justice. They check them out on Instagram. They are phenomenal at their painting. They are the most knowledgeable, I would say probably one of the most knowledgeable 40k players I've ever had the pleasure of playing against. They are brilliant, and they do exactly that. When they drop a message and go, hey, do you want to play a game? I'm like, cool. What type game do you want to play? And they will say, well, I've got a competitive list I want to test out. So do you want to bring something to give me a whirl and give me a rough go at it? And I'm like, sure. I mean, I can't play competitively, but 100% I'll bring something. Or they'll go, actually, I've got a stupid meme list. Should we do a meme night? And that's the exact best expectation for it. Because it's somebody who's like, you know, you know, one of my other hobbies I love is Magic the Gathering. And one of the big things that I think needs to always be mentioned in Magic the Gathering is a Rule 0. And I think that needs to apply to Warhammer games. The Rule 0 is, what's everyone's expectations coming out of this? And I feel that's exactly what needs to happen. A Rule 0 is, I'm here just to have a bit of a laugh. I've got a non-competitive list. It's just stuff. And, you know, the people who then breach Rule 0 is a whole different category. They're like, oh, this is just a non-competitive list, and it's the most sweaty meta list ever. You're like, come on now. Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. So people need to be able to tone up and tone down for their audience. That's exactly it. It's 100%. That is it. That is exactly it. Excuse me, a hiccup in here. Doing well. I've been too focused playing Arc Raiders. Ooh, I feel there are several games looking at me like the meme of the guy looking at the other women like, come on now. That's fair. I've been I really want to. I've got Arc Raiders. I haven't yet played it because I've been playing through a replay of the Mass Effect trilogy. So my brain is like, until I've done more of the Mass Effect trilogy, I'm not doing any more. Hollow Knight, Witcher 3, and Kingdom Come Deliverance are a few which have the mean. That's it. Johnny, Timmy, and Spike, right? All these different. Yeah, there's always different levels of people, and it's just. I think that's 100% it. And it always comes down to that thing of like, what's the you know, it's like effectively the rule zero. People who abuse the rule zero will be people you won't play again, and that's kind of it. But I know I fully think it is one of those. What's the word for it? Yeah, people need to be able to like realize, oh, the person, like I've done it before where I've played a game against somebody and got just through bad luck, their dice rolls have been horrendous. So I've sort of said to them, I was like, hey, do you want to, you know, should we take a breather? Because they're getting frustrated, and it's knowing that we've just taken 5-10 minutes of just having a bit of a breather. You know, they come back to it, and then helps people reset their brain and things like that. It's sometimes all of those things, and you know, and I think that you hit the nail on the head there, Prom. It's that whole thing of, you know, if you can't have fun losing, then why are you playing? Just giving this a. Am I stippling on lots of different colours here? Different layers in between? Is it like am I going brighter with the stippling? Arc Raiders is a lot of fun. I've made some of the most wholesome gaming moments playing it, but the most infuriating too. It's a sign of a good game, right? It's a sign of a very good game. So if you get the happiness and then the frustrations. Yeah. Why can't I open this one paint? Ah. Okay, well I guess I'm not having that paint right now. Is it stippling random colours or just stippling the one colour? I'm just kind of testing out different paint techniques here just to learn. I'm learning. Suppose I'm trying it on a multiple textured surface. This probably isn't the best way to try it. Yeah, probably need to try it in a cloak. Yeah, I feel like as soon as I realise I'm starting it on a small piece of armour, this hasn't quite worked. But we'll try it on the cloaks when we get onto the cloak for it. But I think we've experimented quite well today with a lot of different golds, which I think is good fun. I feel like we've got some cool variants of techniques on here. So I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying this. I just gotta think now about keeping at it. Like, what's my next plan for gold? The gold. Like, I think there's a lot more to plan out than there is on this Custody for than this Stormcast, there is, because Custodies have got a lot of detail on them. But I think I'm going to go with an under prime, or well, a prime of a dark grey like I did on this. So this is the this is Colourforge Raven Black. I think I might then do a really dark brown to get somewhere in between this dark brown and this black. Got a really dark brown as the next layer, and then we'll go on, and I think we'll probably use the aged metal. You know, I do like the aged metal as a much more grimdarky colour palette. That gives me a lot of wiggle room then. I can go much brighter if I'm thinking it's too dark, and I'm going to go with a really heavy dry brush to try and get in as many nooks and cracks as I can without whilst making sure I'm leaving some areas underneath. And then we're going to have a lot of fun with getting some really nice cloaks and stuff done on them. I think that's probably where we're at for this. That's probably about right. My brain's like, I think. I'm like, is that about right? I think that's about right. I'm like, where are we at? Yeah. Do you use the airbrush much? I've recently started using Colourtico's Black Primer. It's absolutely amazing through an airbrush. I do, you know, I have an airbrush. I'm quite lucky. I have a really nice airbrush, but I haven't used it in a while purely because I needed a new needle, nib, and a hose connector for my compressor. Because my old compressor broke. I got a new compressor. I realised there was a problem with my airbrush. So I do need to get back to using it, because that was the alternative way of doing this, was do I just airbrush on all the gold for the custodies, and I was like, but yeah, I'll have to have a look at that. I'm always intrigued to see what other colours we have, what other primers are out there. I think most of the time if I'm priming through an airbrush, I'm normally using a colour, so I'm not sure. My brain's like, it's ready to go for it. Yeah. I need to use my airbrush more. That's true, yes. True. I have to admit, I do like the Colour Forge spray cans, though. I feel they're bigger. I got a bit of a shock the other day when I went into Games Workshop and I bought a can of Retributor Armour Spray, and it was £20 and 50p. I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa, I know metallics are a bit more expensive, but I couldn't. I blew my brain out a bit. I was a bit like, whoa. I hadn't realised how much I'd spent till I left the store. And I was like, wait a minute. Whereas you get a bigger can of the similar sort of gold from Colour Forge, which has really nice coverage, for about £11. And I was like, it blew my brain a little bit out. I'm not saying it's not worth the money. Like, Retributor Armour's a nice colour, but it did just shock me a little bit about how pricey that can was. So most of the time I do tend to just use Colour Forge sprays, because I think they have a really nice coverage. They've got a nice selection of colours, which I think is really good. You can do, like, they've got like oranges, blues, golds, pinks. They've got loads of really great colours for it. They even have a brown, actually, so I'm half tempted to pick up the brown. So yeah, it did blow my brain a little bit. I was a bit like, whoa, that was pricier than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, it did make me go, whoo. But yeah. But I think, though, 10 to 11, we are probably going to call stream there, chat. I think, for it. Just for anyone who didn't see the schedule update in Discord, there is no Friday stream this week. We normally stream, of course, Wednesday, Friday, Sundays, but Friday's the last day of my annual leave, so I've got a few little bits to catch up on and have a bit of a relax before I go back to work next week. So no Friday stream, but we're back on Sunday as per normal, and we will be rocking the Sunday Showcase as always. For anyone who wants to put something in there, here is a Sunday Showcase link. Basically, post your finished work in there, and we bring it up and we have a chat about it on Sunday. But for now, let us read off and spread a bit of love. That's not even a bit of love. Let's spread a lot of love. Let's go spread a lot of love. Where are we? I know exactly where we're going. We're going to see somebody who I always love raiding into. It is the wonderful and the incredibly talented. It is Nerd Holler. We're going to raid over and say hello to them. They are working on, right now, some funky-looking minis. They are painting up, it looks like, I can't work out if it is a fox or like a bunny girl from the top down. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but it looks awesome. They're painting some really nice fur texture and blonde hair, which I think is an incredible skills to have. So let's go raid over and say hello to the lovely Nerd Holler. But yes, folks, thank you so much for being in today. It's been a really, really lovely stream. Special shout-outs as well to Veritine Cakes for the 67-month sub. Thank you so, so much. Scrottrot for the 64-month sub, which is huge. Gondas, thank you so much for that raid, and thank you for the follow as well. Much appreciated. As always, like I said, remember, we are back next Sunday, not Friday this week. So we will chat and see you then. But please, there's a hiccup down there, microphone. Please remember, as always, stay safe, stay positive, and above all, be an ambassador for your hobby. Thank you all for joining me tonight, folks. It's been a really, really lovely, a great conversation, great chimagging and chatting as always, and thank you for the tips for the gold. But we will see you on Sunday. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll catch you soon. Bye-bye! Right there in the chat, 'cause I'm bad at self-promoting myself.